All right, we're live. It's college soccer match day. I'm Mark Kelkenberg. This is Dylan Lane. We're gonna just jump straight into it. This time around, we have 14 teams to cover, and we have Evan Konigsberg in the waiting room. We're gonna first start off real quick with last year's ACC table. This is basically the order we're gonna go down. Obviously, we started off with the ACC tournament champion Wake Forest in episode one. That is on YouTube if you missed it and you want to catch up on it. But it's like a 2 hour rundown. We had Trace Elfin join us for that. A lot of good content in there. Um, we can bring this back up at the end, but I wanted to show, you know, the amount of coaching experience within this conference itself. We have a lot of guys that are over 10 years, some even like George Galvanach with 30. And then the little asterisks over at the side is the national championships that each of them have won. So that's not even counting the college cups that these guys have gone to. Um, anything that you notice in this here, Dylan, before we get started?
Just how close it is, every year. And if you look at the record for the ACC, then the record for the overall just shows how a lot of these losses and ties are just between each other. And of course, we can talk about the coaching. I mean, the experience is pretty incredible. And I think just this year coming up, the amount of talent that these teams are getting in the transfer portal on top of the returners and even the domestic freshmen. I mean, you add that in with these coaches, it's going to be a super competitive, season. Like, I mean, it's no surprise Pitt, Clemson, Duke, Wake, like those guys are always up there. But I think this season we might see some movement because, like you said, every single game's a battle, especially with the players we have coming in.
Yeah, and I have the little flags on the left hand side here. That those are the teams that made it to the NCAA tournament. Um, and just in the quickest terms, it's like it's a race to winning 3 games in the ACC, and you should probably get as close to 10 wins overall to punch your ticket. And yeah, I think we'll be covering some of this stuff as we talk about each team individually. But first up is the Pitt Panthers, and we can bring in Evan Konigsberg. He's a writer for Philadelphia Soccer now, but also more importantly, he recently graduated from University of Pittsburgh. I know he's gone to a ton of games. We actually met up at the Denver game last year. I was like, his Twitter handle is Evan Knows Ball, and I had to see if it was true, and I feel like it was. So I was like, yo, Evan, we got to get you on to talk about these guys. So welcome in, Evan Konigsberg.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here.
Yeah, we can. Where do you want to begin? I showed you the resources a little bit before the show. If you want to introduce yourself a little bit further, um, or yeah, we can just start talking about the team.
Yeah, so I'm Evan, like Mark said, graduated from Pitt um, in May. I'm from Philly, back in Philly area now, so I'm getting more involved with the Philadelphia soccer stuff, as you know. But I'm gonna be a Pitt guy for the rest of my life, and I'm gonna try to kind of drop the fan attitude and pick up more of an analyst attitude to give you like a fair look at this team for the rest of this. So let's get into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the team sheet that we kind of collaborated on. You gave me some insight on who you think some of the new guys will be um,
Yep.
joining into the starting 11. But the big ones, I think, for me, the departures of Casper Grenning, Louis Samkow, Faitosa, and obviously Cabral Carter. So a lot of shoes to fill, but what are your
Yes.
thoughts?
So for me, I think like number one top of the list loss is going to be actually the local guy Michael Sullivan. So Pitt, as everyone knows, some people love it, some people hate it. They recruit everywhere. A lot of guys from Spain, especially the Nordic countries. But Michael Sullivan's a guy that grew up in Deer Lakes, Pennsylvania, so Pittsburgh area, And in his 4 years at Pitt, he played every position on the field except striker and goalkeeper. He filled in at center back, at fullback at times. He was a winger his freshman year. And, he was just a dominant player. And he could fill in anywhere, and that's going to be a huge loss for this team. As well as the fact that I think the main concern with this team, not to kind of skip straight to what I'm a little bit concerned about, the loss of Louis Samkow as well. Like you said, he brought a lot of goals to the team. Big confidence player as well. Some days he's on it and he's scoring great goals. Some days not so much. So they had a couple additions going forward, but I think what we'll see up top as his replacement is actually Albert Thorson moving from a starting right winger to that 9 position, and the young Lasse Dahl starting to get a larger chunk of starting minutes down the right. So that's what I think is going to be like the big losses to recover from for this year.
All right. Well, as you say that, I'll pull up a video of it's Lasse Dahl's assists. We can kind of talk about the attack and how that's going to look without Samkow. I mean, the pace up front in the front three.
Yes.
Not so much I feel like will change in terms of, their best goal scoring opportunities, like hitting the gaps, getting the crosses in. Obviously, Kasper Sundby's still there.
Yes.
So we can show this. But yeah, it was kind of funny, like when we really started talking, you and I, you were like, you got to watch this kid, Lasse Dahl, and Nicholas Sorensen in the back. And I was like, all right, that's good intel. Because I obviously wanted to see or be aware early on in the season last year. And
and this is the big one right here. So Dahl coming down the right, and he finds Sullivan. Yeah. And I think that's the type of play that he's going to keep building his confidence off of. Is he's very athletic, very quick, but when he picks his head up, takes a second to pick out a pass like that, like there, that's where he can really start to show his quality.
Yeah,
and it's a
this
mixture.
Is a play I can talk about for days here. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
No, like it's a mixture of both, right wing and left wing. I feel like nowadays we see a lot of, I can only play left wing or right wing, right? But his versatility, if it coming inside or even going end line and providing those services, it's a nightmare for a fullback because you can't really assume, right? So I feel like those combinations with those front threes, like that interchanging play, but also like that freedom will be good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and Mark, if you can, sorry, go ahead.
We might be on the same page here, but with the pacey guys up front that are driving into space on transition, like that's such a great thing. But the Pitt style is also this like methodical setup shop. They have Villamajana in the middle, who's this smooth kind of Gervais style.
Very much so.
Yeah, like very calm on the ball.
And so
it doesn't seem like he gets phased at all. I can show that next as we talk about kind of the different or the two different styles within, like that somewhat direct style, but also that setup shop, methodical approach of how are we going to cut up this opponent and start getting some goals that way.
Yeah. And another thing that I think is very interesting is Villamajana. He brings a lot of quality on the ball. He's very calm. He's composed, dribble around a guy. And yeah, to be honest, that's the thing with Pitt is they play really slow at times, and the fans really don't love it. A lot of times, if it's 0-0 in the second half of the Pitt game, the Pitt fans will just start booing at the coaching staff, which depending on how you feel about that, and that's a play that I really like there. Because one player that I wanted to highlight as well as Arnaud that can kind of help showcase his abilities is, and right there as well, you'll see it all over these plays is the Mac Herman finalist, Kasper Sundby. He was a guy that was at the MLS Super Draft Showcase, wasn't selected, so he's going to return to Pitt. But excuse me if you've heard this word so many times, but they invert him into the midfield down the right side. So what that looks like is the center backs will kind of shift over when they're in possession. He'll come up the field, and the right winger, which last season was Thorson, this season I think it will be Dahl, will come a little deeper, and then they'll get the space to stretch their legs. So he's a huge part of how they play. And he's in great shape. He's flying up and down the field, and he's always gassed at the end of every game. But it just opens up those passing lanes a little bit more for a guy like Villanueva. You can see it here. He's very tall and he's physical as well. Very composed on the ball. He can dribble past the guy. And I think when he's aggressive and he's asking for the ball, he has the ability to take over a game. He really does.
Yeah, and he definitely just he's one of those flow players that everything just looks so fluid in his motions and even just how he moves his body. Just obviously has that great awareness of where the opponents are and how to calmly maneuver in and around them. So, and finding the right passes.
A little great bit of hold up play there as well. He's a thinner guy, but he's got more to him than you think. So you see a lot of midfielders kind of bounce off of him when they go for the ball as well. So he's transferred from Spain. A little bit older compared to some of the guys that are coming in this year, but great guy to have on your team for sure.
Yeah, and you'll have a new Spanish teammate and an Argentinian teammate that transferred in from Oregon State. I think me and you briefly talked about Tomas. And we also talked about there's kind of question marks around this Jacob Loping. Based on the resume, we have him in there to take over for Sullivan. But it really come down to, I think, who's willing to, be that all-action type guy to balance out the skill set of Villanueva.
Yeah. And, if I know anything about Coach Vidovic, it's going to be, we have our guys that are proven. We've lost some guys, and these are spots that are going to be up for grabs as the preseason and the exhibitions, as the exhibition games go on. Now, once they kind of find their team, they don't rotate a ton in the starting lineup. They kind of stick with their guys. So it'll be interesting to see when the season gets started after a couple games, whether it's Loping that claims that spot or if it's the transfer Logan Oliver, who came in before last season but had an ACL injury and missed the whole year. But, a lot of changing parts in this team. But one thing that I think they're going to be able to rely on is that defense. I almost feel like I did a disservice not starting the episode talking about the defense, but my gosh, these guys hold it down back there. They hold a lot of the ball. They're comfortable on it. And one thing that me and you were going back and forth with a lot before the stream is that they have a couple of looks they can go to. So Redden Fors is a transfer from Sweden, and he has the resume, like you said, but you don't know what you're getting from him yet. Sorensen, we saw last year as a freshman, freak athlete, can play left back, can play center back, and Gilman and Svenby will be the center back and right back, you think. So here's Nick, right? Yeah. And, he does a really good job kind of being a physical presence, but he does not shy away from the ball. He's always on it. So Jay Vidovic is shown to be comfortable, playing him down the left and letting him get up the field, stretch his legs, because he does have the recovery speed to get back. But it seems like the one standard that we are going to see is Sorensen will be in the lineup if he's available. Gilman will be a center back when he's available, and Svenby will be down the right. And if it is Sorensen outright, one kid we could see come in is Gavin Wetzel, the freshman from the Philadelphia Union, which, I'm a Philadelphia guy, so thrilled about that. But, Gavin's very similar to Jackson in that he's very versatile. He can play across the back line, and he can go in where they need him to.
Yeah, and that's what the staff at the Philadelphia Union have said, that he's highly mobile. Like you said, can play anywhere along the back line. Great teammate, great mentality and work rate. And those are the type of freshmen that you want to bring in, the ones who are going to be maximizing every practice and adding to the culture and just the team vibe. And, I'm excited to see if he gets in there this year. It sounds like, they'll have some opportunities. We can maybe look at the schedule super quick, but, especially early on and obviously the exhibitions too, because that's a great opportunity for the younger guys to kind of see where they're at. But is there anything, Dylan, do you think we're missing anything here with Pitt as we're slowly wrapping up?
No, I think we've hit everything. I think another big thing is, Evan touched on it, how important the back line is of being comfortable on the ball. Because one thing about Pitt, like you see them, they wear down their opponent. And sometimes the center back has the most passes completed, but also are on the ball the most. So I feel like, you need those players to be technically sound. And you see that with Pitt every single year, right? Like Jay has instilled in them, like we keep the ball, we rotate it until it opens up. And I feel like those second half games when it's 0-0, it's only a matter of time until they break through. But then again, we've also seen where they get hit on the counter and they concede. So I think it's finding that balance, especially because teams have seen in the past success sitting in and countering. And it's sometimes it's not even out of fault at Pitt. It's like they're playing really good footy, but one mistake and next thing you know, they're very open. So I feel like, you can talk more on that. Like when they do come up against a team that is okay sitting in, it seems like they're very drilled in where like they don't really care if the crowd's booing. Like they're going to play their way and it usually works out. But there is sometimes that we've seen this past season where it's like just maybe whip a ball in everyone, like maybe be a little bit more direct.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, Dylan, because I was hoping to, touch upon that at some point because, we talk about Pitt, they possess the ball, they tire out their opponents, but, in games you don't get a goal, that can be tough if you don't get a goal and you make one mistake in the back. Because, I'm sure like some youth soccer coach that you had that doesn't like, the possession model will have said this at one point, if the longer you're in your own half, the longer your opponent doesn't have the ball, but the more likely you are to make a mistake in your own half. And, Pitt's strengths at times was their weakness last year. And I can name a couple times, possessing the ball a lot against Cal, one bad touch in front of goal by Joshua Vicek, and all of a sudden they're passing the ball into an empty net. You lose 1-0. Wake Forest in the ACC championship, Nick Sorensen takes a loose touch on a ball played to the back line, and they're in one-on-one. You lose that game as well. National championship against Vermont seems like a game they should win. Obviously, kudos to Vermont, but throw in back to Gilman, scuffs his pass to the goalkeeper, and he's in one-on-one, and it's a goal. So, we praise this team because they possess really well, and that's hard to have so much of the ball. But at the same time, it's risky to have so much of the ball in your own half. So what I'm looking for them to do is in those big games to not have that lapse in concentration, to keep that focus because, it's a risky style of play, and one error, no matter who it is, even if it's the most reliable players, that can mean your season's over.
Yeah, and I think every team would love to have an early, first half hour goal. But, if there was just maybe a little bit more emphasis on hey, we're fantastic front runners. If we get it early, it's just our game. Because I will bring up, am I getting louder or?
No, you sound good.
No, you're good.
Okay. Jose's coaching me through podcasting. But yeah, what I was saying is, when we look back at their schedule or their record, they were 14-0-0 when scoring one or more goals. I mean, that's already an impressive stat. Their 6 losses, they were held goalless. So it's pretty much just capping off what you guys were saying. But yeah, in conference, second best in goals for, second best in goals against. Obviously, that's going to create a really good Jose, what a guy. A really good goal differential, and obviously in the first graphic we showed, and it goes for any league in the world, if you have a really good goal differential, you're probably going to be towards the top of the table. And I guess one last little kind of incoming, outgoing is Silva for Feitosa, or maybe whoever else kind of pops into that 10 spot because of how good Feitosa was.
Yeah. So Guy was an interesting player for Pitt. He started out as a striker, and then over time, more confidence, more trust from the coach, got permission to drop into that 10 spot. But last year, he didn't really look as much of a 10 as much as he was like a free roaming player. And to be honest, I don't know who's going to kind of fill that role specifically because, he played a really, unique style. And I don't know if the next player kind of has to be a Guilherme Feitosa type player. I really like Marco Silva. I think he can give them a look from the right wing as well, even if he's not playing at the 10. But, very good dribbler, keeps the ball close to him, good service into the box. I think he will make a difference this year. That 10 spot could also be filled by Santi Ferreira. If you keep up with, MLS Academy, U.S. national team stuff, the little brother of Jesus Ferreira, looked really good in limited minutes last year against, I think it was Howard. Obviously a weaker team, but maybe he'll get his chance this year. It's really hard to tell, but I guess we'll see what happens. It's an open spot.
All right. Any last words? I know we'll have you on again since you cover the Philadelphia area. Maybe we can get you in to talk about Penn or Villanova or something. Like any game that you watch over the course of the season and want to talk about, we can bring you back in. And then obviously Pitt, because you're, quote, going to be a Pitt fan forever. So
yeah,
working on the analyst.
I'm gonna try to make that Wake Forest game this year. So I'll send your boy Trace a message and talk some smack before that one.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, thanks so much for joining. We're gonna move on to Clemson now. So we're gonna kick you out, but we'll talk after.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
All right. So as I pull up the team sheet for Clemson, Dylan, we got to talk about, just it's always kind of a question mark, I think, a little bit with, what formation they're really going to run with. I think we have some good ideas on some components that will be mainstays, but we can bring into this. But this is where I have us starting off.
No, I think with Clemson, no matter really how they set up, it's going to be constant attack and pressure, right? So I think the common theme that we have seen, whether it's a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, a three-back system, the front three are going to stay up and are going to cause a lot of problems for the opposition back line. I think the biggest question marks is behind the front three. Whether it's going to be wing backs or, eights pressuring out the opposition outside back, which we've seen with them before. But yeah, like you said, like no matter what it is, it's obvious that the game model is constant attack, kind of controlling the game with the pressure rather than always having the ball. But of course, they have enough talent where they can play both sides, whether it's possession or going. But yeah, I mean, it's from this graphic, it's pretty obvious that they've lost some big time players as well. So I think you can touch on that, especially with like how impactful they were. Like they controlled it and they really helped them make the run they did this past season.
Seeing the loss of mainly Jerron Gerbet, he was just on another world. And then kind of losing some of the veteran experience of Adam Lundegaard. And I think with obviously Tyler graduated and decided to pursue his grad studies elsewhere, but I think even during last season you started to see a little bit of a movement away from like the traditional nine. The biggest thing for me, and Alex Meinhard finally running out of eligibility.
Yeah.
Sorry, he was playing forever. But yeah, along that back line, they brought in Floki. I think he was like an ACC all-freshman. And that Mike Noonan's always going to bring in some guys from Montverde.
Yeah, and they're going to be good, probably.
So Asante fills in that spot for the back three. I do think that the back three will be, against most teams, especially in the ACC, the back three will be there mainly to provide some good coverage for Remy and Arthur Duquesne because they're such an asset to the attack, and they provide a lot of that width for the Clemson team because those front three almost play as like left, center, right, forward.
Yeah.
And they don't play like traditional wingers, which is fine, especially with the service. We'll show some of Remy's service here because on this team, if we want balls in the box, he's very good at it. Obviously, Arthur does similar things on the left side, but yeah, I think now you have two guys that were on the ACC all freshman team on your back line as sophomores, being countrymen, and you get Joseph Van Damme back. And
Plus,
obviously,
Richmond's going to be a big addition because I know he missed
yeah,
last year with his injury, and like he was one of the main guys the year before that. And I think his versatility, I like him most as one of those right forwards, kind of like whether it's on the end line or coming in, he's technically good enough to do both. But I think him possibly coming in, then Remy overlapping can cause a lot of problems. But also him coming in and having that slip ball to Musa is dangerous with Musa's speed.
yeah, and obviously Musa can dribble in traffic. So like a lot of these guys, it's probably one of the more technical dribblers in terms of the team. And speaking of, I mean, you can't talk about Clemson without talking about Ransford Guion. So
Yeah.
we can just talk over this, but spin move there just hammers it roof or up top. I mean, he's going to be such a talisman for this team because I
Yeah.
mean, if they can get him cooking, and
Yeah.
mainly for me, I think in year two is get him to be a little bit more influential on everyone else.
Yeah.
When he's driving and going on all these, as you call them, mazy runs.
Yeah.
He's best when he commits a defender there and then slides through Meinhardt. Sometimes there's some segments, obviously it won't be in the highlights, but he might dribble maybe a little bit longer than he should, just because he's so good at it. He thinks, I mean, some guys, they just have that ability and the confidence that they could go all the way, and sometimes
Yeah.
they do, but it's knowing when to move the ball off and then
Yeah.
keep going into different positions.
And I know we have Guion and Jimenez as kind of the box to box. I think Guion can play that, but I think he's better off up on the field, whether it's a false nine or inverted right winger or left winger, kind of giving him that freedom role. Because I do feel like when games get stretched, he can do the running and do the defensive work, but that takes away from his best attributes, which is being on the offensive end and creating. So I feel like I could see Clemson moving him up more and kind of just have that freedom role of getting on it, and then defensively, whether it's right wing, left wing, like just going to his zone of where he should be. And I think that also gives him more protection to try these passes and combinations play. Because if he is one of those eights and he drops in or even cheats a little bit higher, Jimenez could be on an island,
Yeah, and I know that's definitely a concern, especially without having such a stalwart in Gerbe. Not that he was known necessarily for his intense ball winning, but I mean his positioning was just always so smart.
Yeah. And I don't think Gerber never lost the ball. Like he was, of course,
Yeah.
he was a pro. Like he's quality, but I feel like him being the tempo setter allowed Guion to play beside him. But let's say you don't have that tempo setter anymore for Clemson. I feel like you still try to get Guion higher up and maybe just have two consistent eights or box-to-box midfielders that offer that support that Guion needs to. Because basically you want a player like him to he should still be defending, right, and doing defensive work, but you want him up the field to make stuff happen.
Yeah, and I think that last clip, and I mean it's been a lot of these clips. The reason why I'll differ a little bit, and again I think it all just comes into who can you pair with Guion to kind of be that defensive guy, because he's just so good that from the deeper areas in the midfield, because if he can just dribble past the opponent midfield line, now he's driving at the back line of their defense, who are already occupied by the front three of Clemson. Now, whoops, wrong button.
That's all good.
When he's driving at the back line, they're occupied. Those defenders are like, well, do I step to Ransford or I have to stay with my guys? So you kind of see these guys, or some of the guys, mixed up in translation on what they need to do. And that, I think, is what causes teams a lot of issues in general, is when a midfielder can advance beyond that midfield opposition and start overloading a defense, especially when like a window opens and he can slide that like cutting edge through ball to Musa or any of these quick footed guys. But yeah,
I think another big thing, like you have so much talent offensively that it's important that they don't rely on the individual talent, and they, are a unit where each of those front three are getting 4 goals or 5 goals plus assists, where it's just not, the last 10 minutes they have to find something late. And we've seen that before with like they have a moment of magic, but from one player rather than the unit, So it'll be interesting to see how, especially in the preseason games, how they kind of line up and what formations and combinations of players really work well. Because I feel like, they have a spine returning, but it's a lot of movement too.
Yeah. And I feel like if they can, like exactly what you said, if they really put together a team game, this roster with how talented they are technically, I mean, they'll move the ball probably more kind of awe-striking than a lot of teams. And I think, if they do have that chemistry and like a little bit more on the selfless side, the combinations that they have already shown and can continue to do will be a joy to hold. Like they already score some of the nicest goals that we see. The last player I think that I want to touch on is Remy Okunlola. I just love the way he's able to find guys in the box from the wide areas. And these like simple tap ins, like I'd love to have a winger like that. Wing back, but
he basically plays as a winger there in possession. He's just so high and wide.
Exactly. And he's really quick too. I know, he's being calm there, but I've seen him go up like this is against Amani Thomas, and we all know how fast Amani is. But yeah, he could be especially with Titus Sandy Jr. He had a few assists from like this kind of wide area on the right. So I think Remy will pick up more of that workload.
He has a good combination.
Will be there for sure.
He has a good combination with Musa as well. Like a lot of these clips are Remy finding Musa, like Musa checking in and playing that through ball.
Yeah, here's against your Wofford.
Yeah.
I guess to wrap up Clemson real quick, some of the other guys that they brought in, they have the Colorado Gatorade Player of the Year, Xander Sevian, in center midfield. They'll have some guys to try out because Abdumane, center mid, Caleb George, also from Montverde, and then a couple guys from Costa Rica, Andres Perut and Kyle Mathis. I did text a friend of the show to try to get some intel on those guys. Dennis Castillo from VCU, or former VCU guy, Rapids, had a good career down in Costa Rica, but we'll kind of tease that. We're trying to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can start to move on from here. We'll try to be conscious of time as we go. But yeah, 2 down. Let's try to get next up. Duke.
This is an interesting one. A lot of movement and like good players coming in.
Yeah, as I get curated over here, you can maybe talk about the experience that they have because they're returning a lot of players.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the starting 11 graphic, it is super exciting if you're a Duke fan because you have a lot of returners. Like, you have Kenny Hott, Sento, Vukovic from Marshall, who's experienced, and like Borison. And yeah, it's a weird team because they've mixed between a classic 4-4-2 as well as the 3-4-1-2 that we're seeing. But, that spine is experienced. Like, D'Ambrosio, he's an experienced, I think, co-midfielder of the year from Charleston. So, I mean, it's exciting. I think whether it's a 4-4-2 or 3-4-1-2, they will be playing with 2 9s. And, I mean, it's a dangerous team. And, I know we can go in it like more tactically, but I mean it looks good from just like from the eye, you know.
Yeah, and I think I calculated if this were to be the lineup, I think it's over 33,000 combined minutes in college soccer. So, I mean, one of the more experienced teams, they'll have seen it all. Um, and then you add in the CAA, I think he was either player of the year or definitely midfielder of the year, one of the two, or offensive. I don't know. He won one of the big awards. But Leonardo D'Ambrosio taking over just as the overall advanced playmaker. And then he brings in his Italian friend, Alessandro Arlotti, who was Offensive Player of the Year for the Ivy League. And I think he took a year off. Didn't really, I think way back when I was trying to figure out what he was up to, I think he took a year off and was playing like semi-pro somewhere in Boston. So he's been playing, just hadn't played last season in NCAA. But I mean, he's got quite the resume. I think he was playing in like the U17 Euros. But yeah, for all the movie fans out there, whenever I see those two on social media, I just think of the movie Kicking and Screaming, where I was like, keep passing the ball to the Italians.
Yeah, and like, you know, Kerr really likes that tend to be a creative playmaker, kind of just constantly moving, constantly getting second balls, and D'Ambrosio is exactly that. So I feel like, you know, last year we saw Colton Pleasance playing that position, then even the year before, like Nick Perano. So it just shows how they have specific ideas that they want to have for that player, and D'Ambrosio, like, he suits that perfectly for that. I feel like Kerr and Kambusi is going to be a big one of running in behind, because, you know, the 2 nines that we have, they're going to be, you know, in the box holding up. They're not going to be as much runners, whereas Kerr and Kambusi are like, they can provide that.
Yeah, and we've also got good reviews that came in for the kid who played for Sarpsborg, an addition to the center forward position. Ardon, I've got to pronounce his last name correctly. Rakaj, something like that. I'm sure we'll hear some of it this fall, but I should have noted kind of the quote that we were given, but he's definitely a player to look out for as well. Again, similar to the Pitt story of, you know, some of these guys that come in from Europe, you know, we don't really know exactly what they're like, but, you know, the resume or the experience that they get at such a young age and coming up through the lower professional ranks, and then coming in here, there's always inevitably going to be a surprise, and he could be one of them. Thomas Vold, also heard good things about him. If they do move into like the standard 4-4-2, coming in at right back, but Kabusu was very good in his freshman year. I think he was another ACC all-freshman guy. So we got him in there.
I mean, like, either way, I think, you know, the way they play is going to stay the same no matter what the formation is. I feel like similar to Clemson, I think just a lot of attacking, playing balls in the box, second balls, and I feel like the field suits the way they play because it's so expensive that you see Hot a lot of times kind of dictate and even be that lone six with Burns maybe pushing up more. But yeah, it should be good.
I would like to see the reverse, to be honest, because like Kenny Hott had some absolute screamers. At a lot of times, like, I mean, he could have had a hat trick against Wake Forest, but I mean, that's the game that Trace Helfand was just unbelievable. But I mean, we've seen it, like little glimpses of it over the summer, and obviously last season with Duke. I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Hott gives us. Actually, last preseason he hit one that was an a fantastic goal. And of course, I didn't get it on camera, but yeah, he's one that I feel like if he got a little bit freed up from just having to be more in the deep lying the spots, like he's such a good box to box asset, that he could also make a difference in the goal scoring and the creating and stuff like that. I do want to talk about. I mean, you've said that they're definitely an ambitious attacking team, and honestly, from when we, all the stats guys out there will be like, oh my god, they're like the best attacking team. Look at that number. But my opinion's always been I think they can do better, and obviously they have the ability, and I think even they know that they haven't even scratched the surface of how good they could be in 2025 because they had such a monster number. I think they were like second or first in the country in goals scored.
Yeah.
But if you take out the 24 goals combined that they scored against Howard and Everett, they would have finished like 40th and tied with UNC with 33. So, I think they'll have a little bit. I mean, they'll be fired up, and I already know that they're ready to go. And I think this is, especially for these senior guys like Acito and Vukovic, Arlotti, Kerr, Burns, Hot. Like, this is the last go.
It's a good core. Yeah.
All these guys. So, I mean, a fired up Duke is going to be dangerous, and that they love putting the ball in the back of the net. So, I think that there's more to be seen in terms of like ACC competition goals, and then finally making a deeper run into the NCAA tournament. Trying to see, looking through the notes. Oh, I guess the new goalkeeper, Wessel Spiel, Champions League debut for his new Irish team on loan from Minnesota United, and what a figure he was for Duke for last year. But they, in typical Duke fashion, they bring in another guy who has quite the resume. I'm pretty sure if you look back on Eric Demora, anytime there's been an opportunity to get a first team selection, he's been named to it.
Yeah.
So like Monmouth, he was like a consistent first teamer. Even like back in high school, he was doing that too. So, I mean, yeah, it's quite the resume, and I think him stepping in, he's another one of those guys that wants the one last really good year. So yeah, I think we have SMU next. So I'll pull that up. Actually, there will be a couple things for SMU. The biggest misses for SMU going into 2025 will be Kieran Pino, Nikola Djordjevic, and Bailey Sparks. Like, those three alone were so good at creating chances going forward, and within ACC competition, they were some of the better towards the top of the goal scoring. So, without those guys, it'll look a little different. We have a couple formations. We'll start off with the three in the back. You might as well start us off talking about Vlad Landsberg, since you coached him for a year.
No, yeah, both. I've coached Vilaz and I played with Slade, so those are big pickups with SMU. And yeah, I mean, I could see them lining up in a 3-back system more than a 4-back. Also, just because of the success they had. I know they're losing the wing-back pairing, which offered that with Pino and all of them, but Vilaz is not the tallest, but he makes up for it with his agility and speed and technical ability. I mean, he could easily play left back, left wing back, even left wing. He's going to fit this role perfectly because even though he is the left center back and a back three, he does love to join in and possibly even join in the attacking half. And I think then that's when Zornick and Starnes can even flatten out in a back two and kind of giving Vilas that freedom. But yeah, I mean, he's technically talented. He can find balls, whether it's a ball in behind to possibly Mitchell or just to the midfield. And I feel like with him, it's just the consistency. And I feel like once he gets going, he's dangerous. And Slade, I think Slade's more comfortable in the center of the back three. With that being said, he is mobile enough to play on that right side. But same thing, like with the way SMU play, they're a ball playing team. I think the most dangerous thing for Vilas and Slade is going to be playing that ball into the tens to Flores and Escar Garcia. Like those are the danger passes that it's tough to defend against. But like that back three looks solid. And I feel like, especially in a back three, you need the outside center backs to be confident and want the ball and have the technical ability to play those driving balls forward.
Yeah, and then we also have the kind of this, and this is spoiler alert, like how SMU line up in kind of, or when it's the 4-3-2-1 type, because those I mean, when you have the width of Georgievic and Pino, I mean, you got to make space for them and pushing the front three inward. We saw it to good effect. Charles Emile Brunet, a lot of fans in the ACC might recognize the name from Central Arkansas against Wake Forest. Nifty little player, very clean touches. He's kind of like Sparks-esque, but I mean, no one's going to really replace how productive in the goal contributions directly as Bailey Sparks was between the set pieces, obviously a lot of PKs, and like the run of play. And we can kind of talk over maybe the last year's goals, but I do want to bring up this super quick. Milton Lopez, Jalen Mitchell, Owen Zarnick, and Daniel Escorcia. Out of this top group from last year, those will be the returners, but you just kind of see the production that Pino and Sparks had, especially, and the amount of assists that Nikola Georgievic had. And that one goal he scored was incredible. I forget who it was against, but I'll play this, then we can kind of keep rolling through some of the notes of some of the guys that'll be sticking around. But yeah, Jalen Mitchell, I think they'll count on him to have a little bit bigger of a year than last year. He was definitely influential. There's Pino again on the left.
And also Luis Flores from Oral Roberts. I mean, 22 goals and 6 assists in 2 seasons. Him and Mitchell will probably be the go-to guys in regards to creating and goal scoring, assisting, all that.
Yeah,
but they're very wingback heavy. Like they rely on the production of whether dribbling, passing, or crossing.
Like that was Georgievic going from back all the way across the midfield and just hammering it rooftop.
He loved those runs. I couldn't believe how consistent he was.
Yeah,
like the whole team's out.
Yeah, and you can see why he's pro with Vancouver Whitecaps too now.
It's like wingback to wingback.
Yeah, and
so that's definitely tough to lose.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think Enzo Pinoza is going to move back into his normal spot. Like we've seen him last year, even up in the attack. So I mean that kid can do it all. So it'll be interesting to see him get back to his natural position and see if he can, kind of mimic this wingback play that they have, or that they used to have. But Milton Lopez, speaking of summer, well, actually I didn't say enough about Enzo Pinozo, Sarasota Paradise, captain, just, I mean, the summer to the fall type of stuff, he's a good example of, putting in the work over the summers to bring it into the fall. But the same thing for Milton Lopez. For McKinney this summer, he had a few games. I don't think he was like overworked there. But he had a good little run there of, 5 goals over the course of like 3 games or something like that. And they were all like different variety. And, when he gets that ball even with defenders right on him, he's able to keep the ball really close to him and find a window and strike.
And I feel like last season when they did kind of the 3-4-2-1 with kind of the tens inverting with Milton kind of at that point, it's important. Like he needs to have that ability to hold it up and balance, because if not, the other team's going down the throat. So I feel like, he's like right here, like he's a playmaker. He's smooth on the ball, and I think him and Mitchell are going to combine well, because like with the inversion of those wingers, they're like 5-10 yards from each other. So that's when the combination play really happens.
Yeah, and I like how when you have a narrow front three that they're more channel focused than like kind of almost or when you operate a little bit otherwise, you're almost like just matching up 1v1 or 1v2 depending on your position. Like some lone strikers will just have to deal with two center backs the whole game, and then it's 1v1 on the flanks with the center back covering. So even if you do win your 1v1 battle, the design on the mismatch is, you can account for a three-man front, but when they're all packaged close together and then you get the width from the wingbacks, I think that's what, a lot of this stuff or a lot of these goals kind of show, is a lot of bodies in the box. And then like that, actually, what I just said is the same way with their corner kicks. Pretty sure every single corner kick they scored, I didn't go through and review every single corner kick they took, but the ones that they scored on, it was delivery into the 6-yard box. So I don't see that changing, especially, and you said like Sagamonian's another interesting player. Like this, I think this goal really shows his technique in tight areas. Yeah, like look at all the bodies there, and he still finds the net.
And I feel like it's tough to defend against teams that, I keep on saying it, when they did a 3-4-2-1 and the 10s came in, if you're defending that, if you step in, you are exposed out wide, right? And that's when the wingbacks had so much success. But if you don't step, SMU is technically good enough to combine and do those quick 1-2s and slip balls. So either way, they're going to play. It's just a matter of what the team that they're playing against wants them to do, because they can beat you both ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think as we wrap up SMU, I think one of the biggest things that I'm assuming within the staff is like, okay, 16 goals. It's a tough task to replace that, especially with a lot of the guys that we showed that are contributing. Even if they drop, a few goals in conference to a little bit more manageable. Allowing 15 last year, I assume that'll change as well. Like that number should drop. So, I think they only lost 3 games last year, and good fan base in terms of the rowdiness and stuff. So, they're definitely going to be a contender. It's just going to be seeing the impact of Flores and then the style that Brunet brings, like the little different flavor than Bailey Sparks. But I mean, that kid is a good little roaming connector. And funny enough, they both kind of have long hair.
No, I remember watching that Wake Forest game and seeing him play, and I was like, who is this kid? Because like he was boss from the midfield, so like I could see him be Bailey Sparks-esque, but then again, you can't really fill those shoes.
Like, vertical dribbling.
Yeah.
And really putting pressure on other teams' defenses, but I mean the passing patterns that he's able to see and contribute to are interesting. There was another player, I think SMU might be one of the 3 teams that hadn't updated their 2025 roster yet. There's still teams out there that are announcing players, so I mean it's crazy. We'll get to it on one of the teams in particular, but one team that hadn't, or one guy, last one I'll talk about, just because he was so good with Alexander Petraeus back in 2023, but Frederick Skilberg, I'm not really sure what the story is for last year. He didn't appear in October onward, but if he depending on, I don't know, it could have been an injury or something. But if he's with the team and healthy, you know, people might have forgot about him a little bit. But I mean, he was a heck of a player in that 2023 season.
No, yeah, I think this SMU roster is exciting. I think it's so tough though to talk. It's easy to talk about it, but it's also so tough because I mean, we could come back here in a month and think something completely different, or they're playing a completely different way. But of course, like I think one thing with the ACC is, you know, the coaches have a way of playing, so it's just a matter of what players fill those roles. And I feel like with SMU, like they have players coming in that fill all the roles they need to be filled. So I feel like that should give them confidence. And I mean, you know, like the first season in the ACC, I think it was solid. Then they ended up beating Washington and then Dayton. So it's like they're good enough and they have that experience and they know what it takes to win. It's just doing it throughout the whole season. I know that's easy to say, but I feel like with these additions, they could do that.
Yeah. And speaking of teams that kind of hold their cards close to the chest in terms of their roster, you know, because I think even last year, North Carolina was maybe the last team to update their roster on their website.
Yeah.
But, you know, because I think me and you both had a shock a
Yeah.
couple days ago, you know, and again, like, it's even crazy in this modern world of college soccer, like how many times we've seen, or this year especially, like there's a guy on a roster that was there for the spring and already transferred out, and it's like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. So there's a few examples of that. So I don't, not necessarily for this team, but I'm just saying for, you know, if you see a name on there and he's like, oh, I know him personally, like he isn't with that team. You know, we're trying our best here.
No, yeah,
there's a
like,
lot of people
it moves
to
fast.
sift through.
Yeah.
But yeah, what formation do we want to show first? The 4-4-2 standard or the 4-3-3?
We can do the 4-4-2 standard.
Yeah. And I think there's a few, or talk about this one's especially, I think the leading story for North Carolina is just the mass exodus.
Yeah, the back line.
Like so many of those players went pro. Sam Williams, Chicago Fire, Riley Thomas, Austin, Tate Johnson, unbelievable player in the first team with the Whitecaps. Charlie Harper, I mean, I was and still am super high on him with the Colorado Rapids. Luke Hilly, I think, got his first team debut recently with Minnesota. Ahmad Al-Kwak, North Carolina FC. And then we had a ton of transfers.
Yeah.
Daniel Lugo, High Point, Andrew Kitch, Rutgers, Kai Tamashiro, Liberty, and so on and so on. Juan Cafaro is playing pro for Carbonia, Calcio.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, a lot of rotation out, and you know, I think there'll be more additions, but some of the headliners are Dylan Kropp from Xavier. He pops in here. I know he was strongly considered at the pro level, but probably just, you know, the money that some of these teams are offering up, we never really know what type of competing offer. So it might have just made sense to stick around one last year in college. But I know you want to talk about Luka Nikolai, because
I mean, yeah,
we were like,
when we found
him,
yeah,
and then it's like,
because we were we were talking about it because I didn't see his updated roster picture at JMU, but like Nikolai, I remember watching those games, and I'm surprised he didn't go to the next level. He good size, a little stocky, but with that being said, just like bombing down the flank, comfortable coming in. And of course, like defensively, he was rock solid. I mean, Sunbelt Defensive Player of the Year for a really good JMU team, but you know, they're playing West Virginia, South Carolina, Marshall, so he was up against some of the best wingers in the country. He reminds me of Femby from Pittsburgh. They're both kind of similar play styles, can hold their own, both players of the years in their respective conferences. So for them to both be in the ACC is cool to see. And I feel like we talked about, you know, they're three of the back line have gone to MLS. But Krop, a big time transfer, Nikolai now, and then Froxon, who has some buzz around him from FAU, and Parker O'Farrell, who's been like a mainstay, whether it's one of those 8 roles in like the 4-3-3 they've played, or left back or right back. So even though they lost a lot, they have talent that has come in and replaced them. It's just a matter of the chemistry.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Carlos Solano's teams in general, is just how good the defense is. Like sometimes, I think fans might want more out of the attackers, but that'll be something that I'm sure they'll continue to try to address, especially losing Vichian, Hilly, Alquak, a lot of these good attackers, and obviously Bertil Hansen. He's one of those like really rapid, aggressive in the press. Like I think a couple of his goals came from a lot of that team all action high press, causing mistakes and then capitalizing on them. And then the whoever's going to be up there with him, it could be Gatorade National Player of the Year, Dan Klink. He got some familiarity with the level that it's going to take with Annapolis Blues, and if there's one thing about Annapolis Blues, that the training's going to be good. So he comes in, with a summer with Colin Harriet and staff, kind of getting used to the physicality of collegiate level players that are 2 or 3 years older, learning from some good guys like Ryan Bilal was there, Brady Gaho was there, so in his debut he came on probably within like the first 15 minutes from an injury substitution, and I thought he played really well in his debut. And in his second game later in the season, it was a start, and he scored in that game. So, for Gatorade National Players of the Year, he'll join Ransford as the player with that title in the ACC. And another guy from Maryland, I'm trying to think of his name, Jacob Merle. Yeah, I mean, he turned out to be pretty decent. So
he's okay.
Yeah,
I will say,
that might be an interesting player for them.
Yeah, I think one thing about UNC too is like you don't really know what formation they're going to play. Like we talked about it, I think they found a lot of success. Maybe it was 2 seasons ago when they played like a 4-3-3 flat, but the front 3 was just like they were chilling up top. Kind of how Klopp played with Liverpool, like with Prime, Mane, Firmino, and Salah. And how they played that UNC was like if the ball went out to the opposition right back, the left side 8, which was maybe a Czech or a Parker O'Farrell, they would then step out, and then the left winger for UNC would then step on the center back. So it's risky if you think about it, because if Parker's late to step and he gets played around, now you have your front 3 out the picture, then your left side 8. So UNC, they've done that. They've had success. They've also done a 4-4-2 diamond. I know they did that away at Stanford. And they've also done like a classic 4-4-2, but sometimes inverting the right back or left back. So, I mean, we don't like this. Of course, these are not official, but it could also be something completely different. But I do think the back 4 that we see is going to be like, that's going to be the consistent back 4. But I do think a question mark is where the goals are going to come from and the attacking threat. Like these are talented players, but you're losing, like Luke Hilly and Alquak, and a name doesn't pop up where it's like, boom, he's going to give you at least 8 goals or 7 goals.
Yeah. Hopefully. I know the staff there are probably like hoping that somebody has a super breakthrough season, and they'll have some guys from MLS Next Pro. Ryan Dugan comes in from St. Louis City. Javier Hernandez from LAFC. And that is an interesting thing. I think we haven't talked about it quite yet about the ACC is, despite the level of competition, there's inevitably going to be freshmen that get their opportunities, and we don't really know exactly how some of these new players are gonna find their footing early on. But when they do, it's just like these guys have such a great opportunity to become a household name very early on. So I'm sure they'll figure out something. They always play teams tough. I mean, on the preseason poll, I think they were like 7th or no, that was Pitt. I think they're in it.
They're always going to be in it, like around it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like majority, like especially last year, like they had goals, but the defense was so strong. So I think it could be the same kind of trend we see this year. So it'll be interesting to see. And I feel like of course, like we're going to say this about every team. After the first week or two, like we're going to come back on here and be like much more precise and like, okay, like this is the rotation. But also UNC isn't afraid to do subs too, and we've seen that a lot where if it's not working, like Carlos isn't afraid to change it up or put a young player on if needed.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of young players, I mean, we talked about it briefly before the show. Finn Sundstrom, you said that they're, not to throw you under the bus on rumors, but he was announced somewhere that he was, I forget what account, that he was going to be joining UNC. Things might have changed.
I don't know.
That selfishly, because from what I've seen of him, because I was trying to watch some videos, like, man, he would be a heck of a player in the ACC. He's my style of guy. He's been playing like, I should know this, but NCFC, are they running a back three?
Yeah, so they're running a back three, and he's between the left or right side, but he's been a mainstay in NCFC. They're 4th place in the championship right now on 26 points.
Yeah,
and he's playing consistent minutes. He's playing well, and on top of that, he's training with these players every single day. So, I mean, he could come in, and even though he's been playing like a left center back and a back three, he can easily come in like Boston midfield, especially with the way UNC have played in the past. Like no matter the formation, they do need basically a ball playing 6 who's mobile, and Sundstrom can fit that. But I mean, if you're a teenager playing a lot of minutes in the championship, it's going to be tough to follow through with college because this would be scouts watching, especially if you're young, and he's young.
Yeah, and I think I don't know him personally, but based on the style of play, Sam Williams and Andrew Check, they're fiery dudes.
Yeah.
I remember one preseason game, can't repeat what they were saying, but they're intense, and I think he kind of has that personality too, that just the grit to him, along with just everything else that he brings from a technical perspective. And when you lose Sam Williams, you lose a lot of midfield work rate. And, I think a lot of people look at defensive performances and just only point to the back line. And obviously they had a really good back line last year. But I think a lot of credit too goes to how much work actually gets done in the midfield. If you have guys in there who are willing to or just really compete in the midfield, that helps out the back line so much. And we see it with poor defending teams who have really good, center backs or something like that, that just get exposed so many times over.
Yeah.
And it sometimes comes down to maybe a little bit of weakness in the midfield, where midfielders are able to, again, drive at the defending back line, which, you could be a fantastic defender, but if you're already man marking a center forward, and now attacking midfielders driving at you in space, like sooner or later you're going to get punished for it.
Especially in the ACC, like late main, like, Cooper, I know we always talk about him, but his late runs in the box, right? If you're not switched on and you're 8 and you check your shoulder and you check it again and he's no longer there, I mean, most likely the top of the box and any pullback, is going to go in because these players are so talented. So like, I think, like that's what Czech brings too. Like he's a workhorse. He runs and goes back and forth, sideline to sideline. So like he's someone that, I mean, any team would want someone like that just for the dirty plays and last second tackles. Because you see it, like how many times have a mistake happen in the ACC, then it gets capitalized because these kids, they're talented. Like they're going to make something happen. And they want a mistake because they know they can score from it.
Yeah, definitely. Anything that we need to know? I saw John McDowell was playing in the spring. I think they were kicking the tires on him. I was always like wondering why he wasn't like getting the or quite as many minutes, but obviously it was hard to uproot Sam Williams with the type of career he had at.
And on top of that, like if he wasn't playing that Sam Williams role, it would have been like an 8 with a lot of running. Not saying he can't do the running, but just there was other players that I think fit the mold of that up and down side to side 8.
Like Acosta was in there last year. But yeah, I think I won't be surprised if a few more names pop in here that a lot of us will know before the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll move on to Stanford now. We'll take the long flight out to California for this one. What's like the farthest you guys have traveled with either Furman or Wofford?
I mean, Furman, we went to Texas to play Incarnate Ward, and then like Houston Christian. We had some boys from Texas on the team, so it was kind of like a family trip / games. I actually got a red card in the opening game though, which isn't like me, I guess, but I never want to go back there and play soccer. Let's just say that. No, but it was a fun time. Like I will say, traveling with a team, like it's just fun. Like the bus rides and the plane rides and like the pre-game meals and the post-game meals. Like those are really what you remember after.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole nother episode though, so we can talk about Stanford.
Yeah, and we got to follow up on red card stories.
Oh yeah, that's a while. Yeah, I was so down bad.
Maybe when we get my brother on, when we talk about analytics in football, we have some good stories from our high school days. But
there's probably a video of it I can get. Anyways,
Stanford. I think the biggest things I want to start off with, every time somebody plays Stanford, it's going to be close. They had 6 draws and 5 of their losses, or then for the 5 losses that they had, 4 of them were only by 1 goal. And then the outlier is San Francisco, which, they'll have an opportunity towards mid-October to right that 2-0 loss from last year. But I mean, they're fighters. The way I kind of see Stanford is like, obviously the school itself is known for, its academics, and you have to be a very good student to get a chance to go there. So I guess what I've thought of them is like it's a white collar intellect with blue collar work ethic. And Jeremy Gunn is like really given that culture, and he's built it for so many years. Obviously they won the 3 national championships like straight. You couldn't even upend them for those 3 years, and they've kept that culture the whole time, even moving from the Pac-12, which was 6 teams, I think, which I always thought was pretty funny. But I guess it makes sense why they had to, even from the football side, like kind of shut that down. But moving to the ACC, they've had the year to get used to all these cross country trips now, and they get more familiar with the types of, or the styles of the teams, because for when you look at their last season in the Pac-12 versus their first season in the ACC, like inevitably the goals will drop down a little bit, but I'm sure they'll be hoping to get back to where they were in terms of the goal scoring, because when I talked about the 6 draws, like, one more goal and you're flipping that again. And even in the NCAA tournament, like they're pushing teams to PKs like Ohio State. So they're right up there to compete nationally.
And I think
yeah, go for it.
So like with Stanford, I remember when I wasn't even in college and I watched them play against Indiana, Clemson, and like in the College Cup. Like if you were to ask a coach or a player to describe Stanford then and to describe Stanford now, it's going to be copy and paste. I think which just shows the culture that Gunn has produced and how consistent it is and how he recruits the right players to fit into that system. I mean, it's going to be a 4-4-2 work rate for 90 minutes. The right mid, left mid, classic, like just midfielders, wide midfielders, get on the ball, good engine, crossing into the number 9s, the 2 6s and 8s. Like you can argue that in the past, Stanford they've had technical midfielders, but they have midfielders who are just solid. Like the best attribute might not be passing, but you get a 6 to 8 out of 10 performance every game. It's not going to be a game where he's having a shocker, Yeah. So I feel like, like the Banks on the left side, I think encapsulates like what Stanford is, just hardworking, consistent, and just like a brotherhood,
Yeah, I mean, dedicated. They have a direct style. They're they're very disruptive of their opponent. It's tricky to play against a team that you can't get in a rhythm with.
Yeah.
And their defense has been consistently really strong. The amount of shots they allowed on target actually decreased when they came to the ACC. So, less opportunities on target for the ACC group. The 3 main players, I mean, we all know. I mean, Zach Bohane and Shane DeFlores are household names by now, and obviously the Banks. In case it's funny, Dylan, we've known each other for a couple years now, but you didn't even know that I'm an identical twin.
No, I found out like last week.
Yeah, it's like, I just thought he was your brother.
No, but like, yeah, that's a good friendship though. Like if you have a really good friend, you probably don't know the obvious stuff about him.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and the only reason I bring that up is just a shout out to the Banks for being twins, especially teammates. It's a cool thing to see. But yeah, the 3 guys that are coming into this lineup, Josh Partle, Victor Fung, and Tomo Allen, all MLS Next products. And if Josh Partle is what he is advertised as, I'm really excited to see what he can do. Jeremy Gunn said that Josh is an all-action midfielder from New England who excels wherever he goes, calm on the ball, and determined off of it. Josh can dictate the game, typically from the center of midfield. He backs up his skill on the ball with a mature, composed attitude on the pitch. And anytime you say all action, you have my attention. So, and they need to obviously replace Will Riley, who's now with Atlanta. So yeah, if he can step in and handle it, obviously Groneveld is still there, so he'll get the experience of that in the partnership. And then Victor Fung popping in for Noah Adnan. The quote here is, he's been playing very well with Inter Miami, represented both Canadian and Venezuelan national teams at the youth level. Here's another Jeremy Gunn thing for you. Victor is a Rolls-Royce defender who can calmly shut down opponents with minimum fuss on the ball, very composed and smooth distribution. So, it's clear that the attributes, the emphasis on composure with the young players, and just hearing that, and obviously knowing the environments, you're gonna have to have a professionalism and a work rate in training. And that's what they look for when they recruit players, and they've had success in it. I don't know if you want to jump in on anything.
No, I think we covered it. I think with them, it's, we got to get, and I feel like Bohan and DeFlores, like, it's on them this season, I think, to really push Stanford forward and getting that production back.
Yeah, and like, it's kind of a silly thing to say, but if you can earn free kicks, these guys can definitely maximize the opportunities. Yeah. And the last player that I'll talk about, Tomo Allen, San Jose Earthquakes product. He's been an ex-pro with the town. Good look. My little review that, based on some of the tape that I was able to see, close control, good footwork in and around the box. He's one of those forwards that's good at floating into good positions. So he appears to have good instincts on like the way the play is developing. So I think, I have Liam Doyle in here just because of the experience. And he's kind of like the next man up for this rotation or this year. But, I think Tomo he'll probably get some opportunities to show what he can do early. And so you got 3 freshmen that they'll probably count on.
Yeah.
And then they also have Alex Chow coming in off the bench typically, but, good technique there. And obviously he's been in that system for a while, so. But another team that I could see a couple more players being added before the season kicks off, if they're not already there. And obviously they have that other Inter Miami midfielder, Jack Pym. So I don't know much about him other than what the reports were. But, between him and Partle, maybe we have a ACC all-freshman watch list on that team right there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to, I know my brother's favorite. He's a graduate of NC State, but, there's so much to say. So
yeah,
as I'm pulling some stuff up here, I'll let you get started on them.
No, I mean, when NC State, I think last season, great season. Mark Harpert's first year after taking over from New Hampshire, and he brought the identity that had a lot of success with New Hampshire to State. You saw them with a 4-4-2 diamond, and they stuck with it. And I mean, they made a big run in the NCAA tournament, and they arguably could have beat Marshall. So I feel like, they're building off a lot of momentum, but I feel like they finished that season with, we're not just here to like be a mid-table team in the ACC. We're here to win, because Mark won everything he possibly could at New Hampshire in regards to regular season winners, tournament winners. So I think he wants to replicate what he has done at State, and I feel like his first season has set him up for a lot of success. On top of that, the transfers that they have gotten fit what they're looking to play perfectly. And I know we're going to talk about it. We possibly would like to see them in a 4-2-2-2, not that diamond.
I'll show both formations.
Yeah.
But there is a little story, not to say that I prophesized NC State's rise, but I remember when Hubbard took over, I kind of put out a tweet just kind of, introducing his resume, trying to see like what he could add, because I actually thought that the roster that he inherited wasn't as bad as some people would have said, because at the point he took over, there were 4 straight seasons below 500, and when I was like kind of making a case for a good start to his career before. I should have screenshot it, but somebody responded like, "No, man, they're bad. They're always gonna be bad." And I'm like, it's crazy because the spring college or the spring cup, even within a couple months of being there, They were already in the final against Wake Forest. And, fast forward through 2024, they made it to the round of 16 in the NCAA championship tournament, like you said. And, the ambition with the staff is apparent because, they're not only viewed now as a threat in the ACC, but they're taking it a step farther to where, if all goes right and everything goes to plan, like this could be a College Cup level roster.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll start off with the 4-2-2-2. And the reason why I wanted to show this is a little bit of like the NCFC summer USL League 2 team, the way Tyler Caton and Caden Tolentino played together. And also just kind of being an adopted Philadelphia Union guy, like I never miss a game for them. With Jim Curtin, they had the 4-4-2 diamond. With Bradley Carnell, they've moved to this 4-2-2-2 based on personnel. And losing Plamana, who was that backline protector, kind of anchor man type. But you get kind of these 2 6s that are 6-8 hybrids, and then above them, you'd have more of the 10s. So Tag Healy, I think even this could help him. Like, he's already wildly effective as a lone 10, but the combinations that this I think adds more combination ability, especially with like a Santa Maria, who's a natural midfielder who also can play right back. The type of passing patterns that this style could, like all the passing and movement. Because Justin McLean, he's brand new to the team. He is pretty consistent in terms of his production at Georgia State. And the biggest name that I was blown away by, I'm very happy to see it because Ibrahim Kande, playing one more year in NCAA, like that pairing with him and Donovan Phillip is going to be crazy good.
Yeah, that's like arguably the best strike force that you have in college soccer.
Yeah.
The
League 2 Golden Boot winner on the left, and then a guy that turned down a pro contract in CPL or the Canadian Premier League to join this team. So
and I like the 4-2-2-2 just because I look at Healy and McLean and like I consider those natural 10s, and I feel like sometimes at the diamond midfield they can restrict them. But with this, I feel like, it gives the 10s the freedom to kind of find the game, whether it's kind of at the touch line or at the end line or coming deeper. And let's say Healy does drift wide and touches the end line. McLean can just come in and then be that lone 10. And then you have Conde, Phillip moving, then Tolentino, Caton, like moving off that as well. But then again, they've had great success with the diamond. I just feel like at times the diamond can be rigid for those 8s. Because if you're playing like a natural 6 possibly in that 8 role, you're not going to feel as comfortable that 8 drifting wide if needed to offer support. Because with that diamond, it's a lot of not pressure, but it's just a lot of running for those outside backs to provide the width.
Yeah, and they brought in some guys that that are natural 8s as well. It was just a little bit later announced, so that's why me and you, we kind of started off with this, but, because Drew Lovelace can play the 8 in the diamonds. Henrique Santos was very good at it, but they don't have Santos anymore, and, Drew can play in one of those 10 spots. He's probably more natural up there as like a winger forward.
Yeah.
But I'll bring up the 4-4-2 diamonds. And I don't know anything about Max Agawa. He comes in from Spain. He grew up in Getafe, like their youth system, but it appears that he's a natural DM. So that would free up Caton, which might be more of. I mean, he just felt like a true 6'8", like hybrid, a little bit
Yeah.
more of a 6. But I mean, that kid can move the ball like even in one sample over the summer. Like you can just see the type of passing and moving that Caton can do. And then I'm not. Every time I've seen Justin McLean like over summer, like last summer I was in New York City area, so I saw him at, I think he was with Rough Riders. He's usually on like the wing or an attacking mid type, so it's just one of those things of, we're not in training, so we don't see, the coaching of how to develop the skills that an 8 needs. But I do like having either one of these midfield styles because it allows the wingbacks some free range. Because if you bring in Caleb Tommy, that dude can fly. It's his senior season as well. And then Thomas Lamele, or French name, I think.
Yeah.
But watched a little bit of him. He's a big boy in the midfield. He's probably more of an 8 style as well. So they have the personnel to do both. And I mean, it's good problems. I wouldn't even call them problems. It's like such a good asset that they can keep their style, but also have a couple of these different flavors of that style if they want.
I agree. Yeah. And Markovic too, like after his freshman year, he's going to build off that. So I feel like I said, it's good problems because like the staff now can decide, do we stick with the diamond? Do we go to a 4-2-2-2? Because like either way, they do have the players that fit the personnel that Mark wants. And I guess, at the end of the day, yeah, Philip and Conde. So if worst comes to worst, you just kick it in behind for them and they're going to score goals.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if there's any last quick things. Oh, this is one of 2 ACC teams that doesn't have to travel to the West Coast or Texas. So their schedule favors them as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carlos Santa Maria, SoCon first team. You've played against them, I believe.
No, yeah, and he's another one of those where like he could fit that 8 role or that double 6 role if they do the 4-2-2-2. And he's a runner, but he's also very technical. So he's comfortable in that wide midfield spot as well. But also, whether it's Kalim or Santa Maria in that right back spot, like he has the work rate to get up and down.
Well, and I think like it's impossible to know like every single story, but Moritz Weber from it looked as though he committed to Penn State, but he made the U-turn and came down south. But a German right back talent. So again, another one of the Europeans that we'll have to see what they add.
Oh yeah.
All right, so moving into Virginia, one of the most experienced midfield threes that we have in the conference. Umberto Pella, Gashi, Brendan Lamb, that stays the same. I'll try to speed round this one. I will bring up a video of the goals for players that are returning, so we can kind of talk while that's running. But yeah, even up top, it's relatively the same. Like AJ Smith is back despite being drafted by NCFC. Triton Boivard, nifty winger.
DeSantos too.
Sides. Yeah.
Because DeSantos reminds me of the same player comp as Daniel Mangroff, and I feel like that Virginia is going to use him in the same way of like that right wing spot, but having the freedom coming in and finding the game, especially with that midfield 3. Like DeSantos can afford to drift inside.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Sebastian Pop. So that'll be a new name for a lot of people, but allegedly there was a pretty intense pursuit. I'm not sure of all the teams involved to try to enlist his services, but I mean, he's highly regarded out of Norway as well. Like one of our sources who lives in Norway was sent me a long list of all the guys that were coming to the U.S. Like there's a kid from Marquette, for example. So I'll have to like reread through that and maybe we can showcase some of those guys. But the Norwegian influence on the ACC and the U.S. soccer landscape as a whole adds another component here. And, the description was, physical presence, good technical awareness and intelligence, very strong on the ball. There's no concerns about meeting the level of the ACC, given his experience in post-Nordligaen. So, yeah, if he matches the hype, I think Virginia might not skip a beat from last year. And I think the biggest miss is the right back, Paul Weiss. What a server of the ball. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get up the where is this thing? I have like folders of so many videos that I need to go through. But all right, here's the goals. We can keep talking as it's showing up, but you'll see Paul Weiss showing up quite a bit. But here's your boy Brendan Lamb, way out on the flank. I love when an 8 pops out and can make that type of contribution.
Yeah.
This goal from Beauvoir is very good. It kind of
Weiss loves that
goal, but yeah. So yeah, I mean that raises the question of like, does Reese Miller, who his goals will show in this tape right here, if he makes his way over to the right side and Jesus De Vicente pops in on the left, Reese's injury season ended early last year. But yeah, like look at this technique, pulling it out of the air. Easy. But yeah, if he can make that shift over to the right back, that would help them out so much, especially when you have a natural left back in Vicente. But the other big one is Casper Malls being brought over from Kentucky. He was previously drafted by Atlanta United in December 2023, so that would be the 2024 MLS Super Draft. But
no, it looks like an exciting team, and I feel like that midfield core returnings would be big for them. But it'll be interesting to see how if Miller recovers the way hopefully he does with the injury and the transfer of DeSantos coming in and like AJ Smith coming back, how kind of those three could be big time in the offensive side of like the goals and assists for them.
Yeah, and I wonder if AJ Smith was invited to come up to NCFC and train. I know quite a few MLS clubs do that. Like, I believe Zach Bohane was with Philadelphia Union for at least a week or maybe a couple. And I'm sure you just like these players learn a lot from the players in that environment. So it could be a bigger year for AJ Smith. Obviously, he's a big boy in there. And Nicholas Simmons, I'm not sure if you wanted to talk about him. I mean, he's new. We'll see what he can contribute. But
no, he should be a good backup for Smith. Similar build and honestly play style. I mean, Simmons has spent time with Richmond as a center back, 6, striker, winger in training. But I feel like long term, he has everything that you want in a 9. And I think learning from Smith and being behind him, I think he'll be a good maybe 15, 20-minute super sub. And then long term, he's someone that has a pro potential because he has a size and he's technical. It's just kind of adding that final finishing piece as well as kind of the IQ as the game goes on. But this is also a kid who's been training with the Richmond, the USL League One pro team for the last 2-3 seasons. So, I mean, he's learning every day and his ceiling's super, super high. He's a good player.
Yeah, and he's been on the U20 Jamaica national team, and his dad actually played for Miami Fusion in MLS back in 2001.
Nice.
So, you know,
A
people
little
can
cool
knock,
fact here and there.
yeah, people
Little
can
fact,
knock
man.
that, the lineage, but sometimes it's great, sometimes it doesn't work out, but um, that's Francesco Totti's kid that
Mm,
I'm referencing right there. Um,
Notre Dame.
yeah, we're moving on to Notre Dame, and this is another one where, so on paper, it's kind of similar to a lot of the teams that play the 4-4-2, but I even though I show it that way, with the way that Spicer drops into like more of a second striker role, that's why I have it labeled a 4-1-1 or a
Yeah.
4-4-1-1. And it looks like Stevie Dunphy, it's his time to shine. He scored
Mhm.
against Clemson. Obviously, losing Matthew Rue is going to be a big miss, but they almost have a similar playing style, and I actually really like the midfield group that they have quite a bit. I think they're all capable of creating, and the way Chad Riley has them in their movements and the flow that they can have, all they just need now is who's going to be the next guy to be a consistent finisher. Because back in 2023, when they went to the College Cup, I know Ento and Matthew Rue, like that was such a fun
Yeah.
tandem to watch. Because like Ento's one-touch finishes, I think like 10 out of his 11 goals were on one-touch finishes.
That's what
Like
you need,
that's
though. Like
yeah,
I mean, like I said, that midfield four looks really good, especially with Spicer dropping deep more as that 10. And I think that is difficult for a center back to defend because when he does drop, okay, if he follows, that just opens up space for Spicer's teammate. And he doesn't follow, he's good enough to turn and go at speed. So I feel like just solid team, solid core. I mean, Kiki Bay 4 as well. I mean,
yeah, I
it's
love
it's
KK Bafor.
yeah.
I think his turn and drive ability, like when you pass the ball into him and he can turn and accelerate, like the transition with control of the ball with him is, I mean, he's known more as a creator than a goal scorer, but I'm hoping that he can find the net more.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I liked him before last summer, but seeing him in person for Manhattan SC, when I was up visiting the Flaxes, uh, it was just they ended up winning 7-1 against Cedar Stars, and KK had 4 assists, but uh, my God, like that was we see it all the time in the tape, like his ability to do that, but like it's so much fun to watch. He's one of my favorites. And I hope
That's
he has a great last season.
I think the last thing to add about this team is Diego Ochoa. I mean, he got injured with Boston College. I'm pretty sure it was ACL or something along those lines, so he wasn't able to play. But I mean, before that, one of the most silkiest passers I've ever played with and seen. He's very good at opening up, like he's going to play the left back, and then they could do like a 20-yard driven pass to the winger who comes inside or the six. But he's someone that if he can recover fully, which I think he's had, and just kind of comes with confidence and consistency, like that the Ochoa Ferguson partnership will be really well because you have the speed and athleticism as well as the passing ability from both of them.
Yeah, yeah. And I was the last. I'll do one last comment on Flanagan. So like, and the same thing goes for both wingers, but I think Flanagan may be a little bit more common. Sometimes when Spicer drops, Flanagan will come in or move up to like almost a right forward. So the fluidity on that side is pretty neat. Um, and I think that there's goals in him this coming year. And then I definitely got to talk about Ian Shaw, because so he played with Minneapolis City over the summer, and they made it to the Central Conference Final. But the midfield of him, Jake Swallen, Jackson Kirsch, and then Joe Highfield ahead of them, like that was such a great little central group that they had. But some of the combinations that they've had were a lot of fun to watch. And I think, it shouldn't be a surprise because Shaw had played with Timbers in Next Pro, and then he went to Hartford Athletic and played in USL Championship prior to coming to Notre Dame. So he comes with some seasoning. So I think without Bryce Bonneau, who partnered with Lewis last year, I think this is a breakout year for him, and he's definitely got the tools to do it. And it was good. I imagine that he learned even more from Jake Swallen over the summer as well.
Yeah.
So he comes
No,
in,
he's
like, that's what you want out of the summer, right?
Yeah.
Like when you used to play for Vermont Green, which we'll talk about at the end of the show, but you might as well fill in while I transition to Cal. What a lot of these players, now that the summer season's over, what's like the objectives that you would say or recommend for the guys who maybe are on the fence about playing in the summer leagues?
I mean,
And what value there is.
I think there's so much value, and like, I don't think I can describe it to the benefit that it is for a player. I mean, you go and depending on what team you have, you could be playing against and with daily training wise the best players in the country. And the biggest thing is just getting reps, 11 games, training every single day. It's basically another season. And, you have to be smart so you don't, run yourself to the ground so you don't come back to preseason completely depleted and dead. But I do feel like, we've seen it with Vermont, Ballard, Asheville. The roster size is so big that they do rotation that allows for that break. But the biggest thing is just consistency and carrying over the confidence and the good play. And I feel like a lot of the guys who have the best college seasons have had a solid summer League Two season. And I think with Vermont, like, the games are great, right? But the training was even better because you're playing against such quality players. So whether it's a passing pattern or a small-sided game, you're getting touches. And the more touches you get, the better you'll be. And it becomes second nature. And, like, these guys don't have to learn how to do a step over or like how to ping a through ball. It's just a matter of getting those reps and playing with new teammates and learning with new coaches. And I feel like, like these Vermont guys, like, all of them are going to go from the final to the preseason and like a fitness test probably, but they don't have that 2-3 week period of like only training by themselves and maybe not training and not working out. Like, they're going to be super fresh. And, the college season, it's like you blink and you only have 1 week to prepare. So I think it's the best thing for players. And I feel like it's so talented. And now there's ex-pros who are trying to get back into the pros coming to play to League Two. And it's, you're playing against those players. So there's also to be eyes on you. And if you do well, those eyes will continue over to when you get to the college season. So it's a win-win. And like, it's like if you love soccer and want to get better, you play League Two,
Yeah, and like USL does a good job of having like kind of regional scouts around the network, and so it's such a great model for a lot of different reasons. But we can talk about that. I think Sunday.
Yeah.
Spoiler already. I think me and Dylan were gonna do a USL League Two championship final review. So look out for that. We might explain it a little bit more at the end. But on to Kale. This one's tricky for me because you lose two big bodies up front, Eric Duncan and Nunso Adimaba. So I do like Zaliat. I think his work
He had
rate
some
is
good
really
moments.
good.
Yeah.
And having a forward who's willing to do some work, and he did score a couple really good goals. So they're putting a lot of pressure on him. I think McElligott is kind of like default having to move up. I think he was playing more in behind the front too last year. But then the midfield itself, like Nishimura, Breck, and Sarah, I thought Adrian Jacobs did pretty well. in his starts. He kind of, I think, burst onto the scene a little bit later in the season and became a consistent starter. And then Alfredo Ortiz was kind of that main wide playmaker on the left. We know, obviously, that they're going to have the back three. That's kind of the standard.
Yeah. Those are big misses, though. Like the Carmichael and Wyatt Meyer, like, like they were both talented, but also older, experienced players. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects just like the way they play and just the mentality of maybe going down early to possibly a better team or even worse team. Like, how do they react? Because when you have that experience in the back, if you concede early or even late, like, there's not a lot of stress or worry because, you know, you turn to those older guys for help. But now that those guys are now, you know, with MLS Next Pro and MLS, it'll be interesting to see, like, kind of who steps up and how the culture of California, like, goes through the second season playing in the ACC.
Yeah, and I think it was a little bit of an advantage that, Meyer stepped out of the lineup with a minor, I think it was a minor injury because he ended up coming back towards the end of the season. But it gave Bo Morrison some opportunity in the first team, and I thought he played pretty well. You know, it's great exposure to get when you're a freshman, especially when he ended up with second most minutes for outfield players.
Yeah.
And then you get Cincy Clemens from Duke and a JUCO transfer in DeAndre Pickett. So the school he came from, Pima, was 21-1, and they averaged less than a goal a game per match. I've admittedly not seen him, but, you know, I think the expectation is obviously that
there's a good stats regardless.
Yeah, it's like he'll have experience. Granted, it's at a different level, but, you know, some junior college areas they're obviously produce some big time players. So, you know, it doesn't matter where you came from. I mean, it's kind of a cliche story now, like some of the JUCO transfers that have, like,
well, they end up being the best college players.
I know. Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one. We'll see.
There's nothing really else to say. Like, I think this is a team where, like, the first couple games are gonna show us a lot of, like, what it's gonna look like going forward and what kind of combinations and relationships we'll see with the players.
Yeah, and there's probably some guys within the existing roster that just haven't had their opportunity yet that can pop in and, you know, be a real big contributor.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to, we'll keep kind of rolling through. So next up is Syracuse. This is another one that, like, don't really know what the front attack is really going to look like, nor really the midfield, or really any position. The only thing that we guarantee is that Omeze and Ernst Mensah Jr. are going to be one of the best, on paper, because Omeze was very good in his freshman year. Mensah is highly regarded from Xavier, so that wingback pairing is
that's going to be a good one. Athletics. One of the
most interesting ones in the ACC.
And I feel like we've seen with Syracuse, like, you know, when they won the national championship with Apoku, Johnson, and Lorenzo, the Italian, Baselli, like, they love to use the transfer portal and not afraid to use it. And we've seen success with them, you know, winning it after using it. And then the previous year, like the year after, not the best. So I feel like they have so much talent. It's just same thing, right? That we've always talked about with transfers and going to schools. Like, it has to click, you know? If it doesn't click, it's so difficult to get that cohesion and that team chemistry. But, you know, you look, like, I think Zambrano, after the season he's having in the summer, like, he's gonna come in hot. And I feel like the adding transfers with experience, whether it's in college or overseas, it's just a matter of if it clicks, because we see what happens if it clicks. You can win a national championship, but we also see what happens if it doesn't click. You have an okay season, but not what you expect to have.
Yeah, and, like, Tim Noting He was the NAIA Men's Soccer Player of the Year out of the entire country for that. It's a national award. I think like the expectations are that he can be a big time player for them as long as he stays healthy. And like you said, if they figure out what to really do with Carlos Zambrano, like he clearly has, the goal threats in him. And then Michael Acqua, like he was more of a winger, but when you lose Daniel Burko and Nicholas Kalukian, Kalukian actually is, I think he was playing professionally in Armenia, but if I remember what country that is, but I think the big thing I have the video. I'm probably gonna post it to Twitter tomorrow. As we start kind of like throwing out some of these because we do episodes, then we'll like follow it up with some content.
Yeah.
But Bryson Rodriguez, he's played professionally in the Costa Rican League. He was the captain of the U20 team. They've had success with Costa Rican center midfielders before with Anthony Sinclair. That was their national championship winning year. He's now pro again in Costa Rica. So Bryson could be an interesting player for them. And then Christian Fortier. I mean, a couple of his goals last year were a lot of fun to watch. I remember I have them, but I just don't have them in the folder. And then, like, the center back pairing, De Jesus is out. Again, like, I'm not sure exactly who steps in. And this is another team that inevitably there will be, more players being added to the roster.
Yeah.
I think that are currently there, but we just don't know about them.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, Ian McIntyre, like you said, he's known for finding good transfers. So
it'll be interesting to see. Like, it's definitely a team that if it all clicks, it's going to be up there, And I think with the wing back, going back to it in the last point, like Mensah and Omeza, it's like if they get confident, like and like consistent and healthy, like that's arguably the best outside back pairing in the league.
Yeah, I agree. All right, one of my sneaky favorites, like probably the only one who's not a Boston College student that actually kind of likes what they're doing up there. Because they're returning their entire back line and the midfield, and then pretty much their entire roster, and then they just get Nikolai Rogel, which you have experience with, so I'll let you kind of talk about him to start, and then I got maybe something else to show.
No, Nikolai was originally from Watford and was freshman of the year, bagged a bunch of goals. He's like a natural poacher. If he's in around the box, he can score one touch, two touch. He's not someone that's gonna like drop in like as a false nine and dictate play, but like if you get him in the box, he's gonna guarantee some goals. He's more of a natural like 9, so I could see him and Eklund even like partnering, or maybe even dropping Eklund deeper as a 10 because I know he likes to get on the ball. But I think Nikolai and Eklund, like that could be a very good partnership, especially like they complement each other. Where Eklund's tall, Nikolai is a little bit smaller, but Eklund likes to come in and Nikolai likes to stay in the box. So it's like this basic, soccer relationships that they're going to cause problems for whatever back line's defending against them. Because then you even add in Esser on the wing, or maybe even he could possibly play that 10 role if they do like a 1-2 up top. It's a dangerous team. I don't think they get the love they deserve because, the results don't always go their way. But it's a front three and that strike partner of Eklund and Nikolai that could form as a 2. Like it's dangerous.
Yeah, and I think it was an interesting thing last year with Eklund, Dos Santos, Garino, Asari, Xavi O'Neal. Like, it was a fun group to watch that just didn't like kind of manifest in the goals.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a tricky thing, but so I mean, I think that they're like so close to, flipping the script of BC soccer, and I think that there is some belief there. You can kind of sense it. So all 9 of their games against ACC opponents only had, and this is total, 2 goals or less. So they're playing every team close. And of all the teams during the regular season, they had the least amount of combined goals for and goals against. So if you're tuning into a BC game, it was probably going to be the lowest scoring game of the week or the match day. But defensively, that's a good thing. And it'll be something that I know everyone there is going to know, like, if we can just keep up the defensive efforts here, and again, when you have the whole back line the same and a hardworking midfield, and these guys stick up for each other. I think I was watching a replay of the Louisville game. There was a tough tackle on one of, I forget, maybe it was Behar or something, but like Gundelach and Burkhardt are like getting in everyone's face, and they aren't just like, moaning to the ref, but they're like, no, you're not doing that to our boys. Which I like to see that, the team that fights for one another. And, if they did bring in a Division II All-American, Jostein. Was it Johannes Jostein?
Yeah.
Another guy with 22 goals and 6 assists in 17 games, for Mercy. And again, another little unknown, but I mean, if he can make an impact on this team,
No, they could be
big
yeah.
bodies up front that with Michael Asari or Michael Asari, he's like, I love his work rate in the wing position, because like we always talk about box to box midfielders, but he's a box to box winger.
Yeah.
So he has no problem helping out if he needs to, and dropping in and helping out his wing backs and left side midfielders.
I mean, it could be sneaky good. Like, it's a team that, like, a good older leadership, consistency in the back line, and if the front 3 kind of get going, I mean, they could catch some teams.
And if they could get more of this, because as we said in the last episode, this is my favorite stuff to see. So dying minutes of the BC UNC game, look at this rip from Marcy Colleen. He's checking his shoulders. He's got tons of space. He's like, I'm going to tee it up, and bang. Winner.
The reaction, too, from the UNC, like, they knew, like, that's a tough one.
Like, what in the world? Yeah, it's like...
it's not like, it's that's a great shot.
Yeah, people are probably like, I didn't know that you had that in you. But
the celebrations do, like, it just shows the togetherness that they have,
Yeah, I know. I like it a lot. Yeah, and I'm low-key rooting for them, obviously. We're pro ACC in general, so it's like we just want to see good football, and this angle's great. Oh,
break egg.
Darn.
But imagine it going up a 90. That's what it looks like.
We saw it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and then Alex Corellis. I mean, Boston Bolts, they produce a lot of good midfielders, I feel like. So he transferred from Providence, so he could be... I haven't seen him play lately, but...
going through all these teams, it has me second-guessing who I want for my team.
Dude, I still don't know, but
I don't know. Soon.
Stick around for the after party. Like, I know this is a lot of content to roll through, so I appreciate everybody out there sticking with us up to this point. I think we only have 2 more to go, and we'll start off with Virginia Tech. So speaking of really good midfields,
this is a solid midfield
in the state of Virginia. Like, Matthias Giannis, true DM. I like it. And Giannis Bellatrash coming in.
Bellatrosh was he was one of my favorites at UCF. Like UCF plays a very free flowing 4-3-3 and kind of just lets the eights go and find the game. And Bellatrosh was always at the forefront of UCF's attack. He was comfortable dropping in, but as well as staying high and finding the pockets. And I think like this midfield three complements each other really well. You have like Giannis like as the pillar in the back, controlling it, kind of being the tempo setter. But then the 2 8s are going to have the freedom to basically find the game. I feel like, that's a good midfield three that if they still stay healthy, it'll be tough to play.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of Ian Marcano.
Yeah.
As a freshman, grew up in Barcelona, and you could tell by his game. And I've been saving this because, people say it all the time about Ransford Guion. But him and Ian Marcano are kind of the same stature and almost the same playing style. And as somebody who's like 6'5", I hate hearing this like, oh, they're too small. They're too small for whatever the next level. It's like, we just had an MLS Player of the Year at 5'4". So like, when are we gonna be done with that lazy argument that just because someone's small, they're not good? It's like,
no,
argument is it's hard to defend guys like that. Because when I'm defending, I want to be like, in an ideal world, I get to put my shoulder on somebody's shoulder and like my hip on their hip. When they're 5'4", I don't have anywhere to use my body on them. And the 3 to 5 yard burst that some of these guys are able to do, it's like, top end speed. Some of the bigger center backs or defenders out there can match anybody, but it's the fact that it takes them a little longer to catch up in that first part of the sprint. And Marcano does that, like his separation, the way he moves and gravitates throughout.
And he's so technically sound, like to kind of not to cut you off, but like usually if you have a small midfielder, or just small player on the field, if they're not comfortable on the ball and they don't have a high soccer IQ, meaning not knowing what you want to do before you get the ball, right? Not checking your shoulder. Yeah, you're gonna be at a disadvantage because you're gonna be smaller and you're gonna get shouldered or rocked, right? But these small midfielders that we see in the ACC, they are so comfortable and confident on the ball that they don't mind getting the ball with pressure on them because they know that they can bounce pass, so they can drop their shoulder. So I think that's a lazy argument, like you said, but also like whether you're small, tall, whatever, if you don't have a good soccer IQ and you're slow on the ball, especially in the ACC, you're going to get found out. So I feel like, like some of the best players we've seen are the smallest in the midfield and at college.
Yeah, it's elusiveness, quick foot, like play, and just finding all the, like, if you're a good passer and a good pass and move, you can expand the play and drive it down into, like, I thought this Virginia Tech Wake Forest game was an excellent one. So they have the ability to move above where they ended in 2024. It'll obviously look a little different. Like, the back line is different. They brought in guys from, like, one kid was playing in like the Israeli second division and he grew up in Barnsley. So, you'd expect that his experience is going to be pretty strong. And then they have a 23-year-old center back from Spain, Peralta, who, if these guys pair well together, like, they should be able to defend pretty well. And obviously, what William Cardona added to this right side and the leadership that he had, he's another big miss, but
they have potential for sure.
It's a challenge that every team has to go through. So
it should be interesting to see how they do, but I think I like that midfield what I like the most about the team.
Yeah, and Uemana had some youth national team experience, and then they have two guys from Iceland's first tier, and again, don't really know what we're gonna get out of them, but who knows? Like it again, if somebody gets hot, they could be on the breakout watch list.
Yeah.
And then they got the the NPSL Young Player of the Year, Osi Onwudue. So he's another right winger, very technical. He could pop in. I actually think he'll get a good opportunity there. And then your boy Leo Ledden.
Aladdin, yeah. No, I mean like they're bringing in like not just Leo, like they're bringing in good transfers as well as good foreign players. So like I said, like there's probably would be 2 or 3 names on the incoming players that we don't talk about that are going to be probably at the forefront of the success. And like that's just something to see in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, because even Colin Butel from my screen went full screen there for a second. 1860 Munich. I mean, that's resume.
No, it'll be good to see. It'll be
and,
interesting.
Yeah, well, another one. It's kind of funny that like we're kind of speed rounding these last ones, but we got to get to the segment everyone really wants to see: Coach Mark versus Coach Dylan. But before we do so, we need to finish up with Louisville, another team that and it's the story of all these teams. Like teams that compete, that somebody's got to come in last place.
Yeah.
So it's just unfortunate that that was them. I think, to be fair to them, they had a young team like DiBlasi, Agunle, Jack Lewis, Koali, and Michael Lee. They were all freshmen, and they all had really strong showings.
Yeah.
And the experience that a lot of other teams had just kind of got the better of them, maybe. But they started off the season 4-1, and then they only won 2 more games after that versus Lipscomb and UW Milwaukee. So they were winless in ACC play, and it won't really get any easier with the type of players that they lost because they did produce pros. Josh Jones, Sander Rode, Ethan Subachan transferred, JB Jordan is USL League One, Gage Guerra is pro, Mason Tatavu is playing in Australia. So a lot of like key guys, but they brought in Ryan Quintos, and I actually really do like Agunle's skill, and obviously
I think
Lewis.
I mean, like Lewis, like really good freshman year considering the circumstances. And Goulet as well. I mean, his upside. Like, I think any pro scout watching him is seeing his size and speed as well as like technical ability. Sometimes it can be a little inconsistent, but like you can mold that into a very good player. Like with Louisville, I feel like they always start the season really well. I feel like they're always like 5-1, 4-1, and like they get a couple good early wins. It's just they always seem like to kind of fade at the end of it. So it's just like if you look at the schedule, like Virginia Tech away and Wake Forest away. Like they have Duke, then North Carolina. They have some back-to-back ACC games where if you lose one, it becomes 2 and it becomes 3. So I think their biggest thing is not just the players, but just that mentality of, of course you need a good system in place and you need players to be on it, but just not letting maybe one setback pile up. Because in the ACC, you know how it is. All you might have to do is win 3 games, but also if you lose 2, then put your head down, and now next thing you know, the culture's done. Not saying this is the case. I think they have a lot of talented players and a good young core to build around. It's just it gets tough at the bottom if you look up and every other team is winning.
Yeah, and I mean the points of optimism. Last season they went up 2-0 on Clemson at home, but then they just couldn't see out the game.
Yeah.
Ended up giving up 3 goals in the last 20 minutes. And then the same thing with Cal earlier in the season. They went up 2-0, but then drew 3-3 in Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a Gage Guerra driven spark on the offensive end. So
It should be interesting to see how they do. Like, but I feel like all these teams, like we go back to it, like there's gonna be. I know there's gonna be like for each of these teams, 1 or 2 players that we just don't even talk about that have like that comes in and completely smashes it, which is like a good thing to see. But you also look at the school like players they have coming in. I mean, a lot of good backgrounds in the academy scene as well as schools. So it should be interesting.
And that's what all the fans have at their resource now is us. That's why we're doing this throughout the whole season. We're going to make sure we're going to have our fingers on the pulse of NCAA Division I men's soccer and make sure that none of the great performances out there really slip through the cracks. But as we get situated for the last little segment, I do want to part of the I think Jack Lewis and Leon Kondich are strong players, and I think they'll be if they can make a good step to the next don't want volume there. But this is just from the Clemson game. Obviously, they lost 3-1 in the ACC. But I like how Lewis helps out his teammate or any teammate that's on the ball. Like he positions himself in between windows pretty equidistantly. So as long as you have a passer who can hit a gap, he's doing his work on the other end of the pass to make sure it's easy for you to make it. And I like when a player can gravitate around and just keep possession, especially against when you're one of the more up and coming teams. You need players that can help keep the ball and also drive it forward. So yeah, just
he's consistent too in his pass variation. He chooses the right pass, and I think we see
dirty work.
Yeah, it's the English in him coming out.
Yeah,
but it's I think now, of course, in any team in the country, it's so vital that 6 to be technically sound on the ball. I feel like teams have been able to get away with maybe the 6 of the double pivot not being as technical, but really athletic and good ball winners. But you see, the best teams now, they have a tempo setter. They have a player who's just that wants the ball and can open up lanes and opportunities for the teammates. And I mean, Lewis is one of those where, he wants the ball and he's technical and he can make stuff happen. But it's you look at any CDM in the ACC, they're technically sound. There's not one that's just a bully. They might be able to play that way as well, but the footballing kind of prevails.
Yeah. All right, so we're 2 hours, 20 minutes in. Are you good for our last segment?
No, I'm good. I mean, what is the chat thing? I mean, I think we're good to go. I think we should see a pre-poll if they think it's going to be me or you who's going to have the better team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's. So it's my first time on here sharing a screen, but we're going to try to share this.
Better make sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if we can see this here. It's got to load. All right. So we have Mark's team on the left, Dylan's team on the right. I personally like the 4-3-2-1 kind of old school AC Milan style. And that's why some of the SMU stuff is pretty fun to watch, but I like my wingbacks to have open avenues to provide the width in attack, And then I like having the 8-10 hybrids in my midfield with the opportunity to overlap the left or right forwards, or if one of those two left and right forwards want to go wide and create the gaps, it creates a lot of different options. So that's usually my approach.
I like it. No, for me, it's just a classic 4-3-3. I'm doing this time a single 6 and 2 8s, but the 8s are comfortable being as a high playmaker in the pocket as well as dropping in as a left back, right back, because I do want my outside backs to high and wide. I don't really want them to invert or anything. I just want old school, just get down the line, cross, be technical on the ball. And then I'm okay with my wingers being out and out wingers, but I do always want one winger who can invert to overload the midfield. And yeah, I mean, I want footballers. I want people who can be on the ball and play, you know?
Yeah, that's a characteristic of my midfield is, I mean, I've said it a few times now, but I like the all action types that are also good possessors. So try to go with the guys that are going to do a lot of work for me in there, because it just helps with the defensive back line as well. But how do we want to start this? Maybe we can go to the chat on if there's anybody alive in the chat by this point.
If there's anyone alive.
Anybody tell us who should go first. Because the rules are we can only pick one player per team, and we cannot duplicate. Like, I can't take a player that Dylan already took.
And one from each team. So
yeah,
that'll make it difficult.
It honestly poses a lot of issues because I think throughout the rosters there's like 2 or 3 guys that would be great for our lineup, but if you select one, you can't have the other. So it's not necessarily a dream team, but it's a fun exercise, I think. And yeah, I don't think we got any comments.
No, the chat's super active tonight, which is good to see.
Is it?
No, I'm being like, it's just no one's saying anything. So we can. You want to flip a coin, like on the. If you don't have a coin, we can do it on like Ask Siri, heads or tails. I'll let you go first. I'll give you it. I'll give you it.
The old man.
I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
Yeah.
This is a mind game. You're going ahead. You choose.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take.
Oh no, that was mine.
Oh, I'll use last names, but Donovan Phillip. We'll try to do.
That's a good one.
I don't know. I'm just gonna abbreviate just so we can keep track of who we are.
So, I like that. I like that one. That was literally my 9. So, already.
Yeah, I think he could do a lot of the physical stuff that I need him to do, like both in hold up and also on the run. So, yeah, he was a natural pick for me.
So I think you know who I'm gonna pick. Give me. Actually, I need to think about this real quick. Give me for mine. Let's do Musa from Clemson, left wing. I need to get like one big attacker out the way because I don't know how you're gonna be moving the last couple of picks.
All right. Well, this is where the drama starts.
I know you're gonna do a midfielder, aren't you?
I'll take Brandon Lamb. I know you wanted him, but I think he has all the work rate and the passing, and I've seen it. I've seen him able to overlap the left forward, and I really want that bad. So
I like that. Give me as my right side 8. It's the Pittsburgh midfielder, please. The Spanish maestro. I knew Villamajana. But I want 8s like him that can drop in as a right back, possibly if my right back goes and bombs down the line, or maybe he plays 10. Like he's just an all-around midfield.
I'm a fan of him. He would actually have been a really good deep line playmaker for me. You know what the beauty of this, and So one little tidbit. Dylan and I haven't talked about this at all besides us just being like, "Oh, I want to tell you my team, but I also don't think we should." So we did not talk about this at all on like who we were taking.
Mark texted me this morning saying he couldn't sleep last night thinking about it because he just knew I was going to pick such a good team.
Dude, I've been working so hard with like the lineups, and I still didn't even get enough of the videos done. But
you're up. Let's see it. Let's see what you're doing. Who are you picking next? Why am I kind of nervous?
The nice thing about this is now that you took Villamajana,
You gotta
I can save my guy from Pitt because there's no danger that you'll.
No, I'll let you have him. I know who you're picking.
Mitch Ferguson.
Ooh.
I've been a fan. I doubt that he's watching, but Mitch, I'm sorry that I didn't do 2024 highlights. I might still try to go back and do them real quick. But I did him in 2023. Loved what I saw. I think he's a really just prototype CB. So I'm happy to have him.
Part of me wants to pick my next 8 because I don't know if you're gonna put this player in your we both love him. He's a class player, but let's do Cooper Flax as my left side 8.
All right. I'm definitely not going to be hating on it because
it'll make sense.
Talk about skill, but
Can we talk?
Because I think he could fit into your style. Are you sure you don't want Villamajana as the deep line playmaker? You can always change it if you want.
I might change it because Lamb was my 6. I'll be honest.
Oh, okay.
But
then I got to make sure that you don't misrepresent my boy Kenny Hott. And
okay, yeah, okay, that's a good one.
I mean, he's got the years of experience at Duke. If I want him to, like, he's an all action type. I'm happy with the box to box work rate, and that's what I need out of those 3. And again, I think he has goals in him. They just gotta go up against a goalkeeper who's not just like standing on his head.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Give me my right back from UNC, the one and only. We were texting about him this morning.
Nikolai.
Yeah, Luka Nikolai. I mean, bombing down the right, classic right back.
I mean, yeah, that's a really good one. Man, I'm trying to think like. So my right forward is locked in. Let's, not too long ago we were talking about him, but Jack Lewis.
Dang it.
Because, again, like, I grew up in the era of the Premier League with, like, Scott Parker, Joey Barton, like, Kevin Nolan, Mark Noble, like, those OG, at least for the millennial area. And I think he has a lot of that. And those 3 combined could make life a little bit difficult, I feel like, for some teams.
Give me a Cito from Duke as a right center back, please.
I like that a lot.
I knew it.
I think just to take him right there, but
I know. I just wanted to get it out the way. Why not make the right side look nice and pretty?
Yeah.
He's someone that he's been a mainstay for so long and just Mr. Consistent, and that right side's super athletic now.
Yeah, for sure. I like that a lot. And I mean, talk about like a very professional kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think I might have an idea. So I don't need to worry too much about Clemson. There was a left back that I want to make sure that you don't get.
I think my left back's gonna be different from yours. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I need some Syracuse representation.
I'm okay with that. If you're in the chat now, number 1 for Mark or number 2 for me, who is the best team as of now? Like a team that you would want to coach.
Well, you gotta.
I don't think anyone's gonna respond. But
Yeah.
All right, I'll pick one
Who's
more.
trying to get that? Yeah.
So,
Come
give
on,
me,
chat.
give me. I mean, give me DeSantos right wing from Virginia. I mean, where I want to play, he's going to be invert basically. He can also hold the touchline, but imagine him coming in, then Nikolai running in behind. Like, come on
Yeah.
now. Like, you see the
Yeah.
vision, right?
Well, yeah, and that's like the thing about that. The case to be made for the 4-3-3 for UNC is with how good Nikolai is at getting forward. Sometimes those 4-4-2 standards, I don't want a player in the way
Yeah.
of somebody getting forward. So, yeah, I like that. You have a guy that will invert inside because you'll have that free 10 spot for somebody, especially with Cooper able to fly up there too. Yeah, I'm liking it. Can't do NC State anymore. Can't do Virginia. Man, KK Bafford would have been good.
I know. I was thinking
I
about
was singing
picking
his
him.
praises. Let's look at, since we're just, I'm gonna say Michael Asari. I think I could work with him a lot. Like,
Dang it.
I think I can get some more consistency out of him, and
Yeah.
on the break, like when we're in transition, if he gets the ball in space, we'll make sure everybody around him is making the proper runs. And yeah, I think he could do some damage, especially being box to box.
Give me NC State number 9. Could have gone pro in Canada.
Okay.
USO League 2 winner 2 seasons ago, and just an absolute baller. Conde, yep. I mean, look at that front. Look at that 3.
That front 3 is pretty dangerous.
I just want him. I want a 9 that can kind of do it all, but also can, especially with DeSantos coming in, like Conde's weak side runs and peeling off the back line. And plus they were teammates at Seacoast. Not this past season, but like 2 seasons ago. So good players.
I feel like so I'm pretty much stuck at, I have Virginia Tech, SMU, UNC, and Clemson and Pitt left for me. And Clemson won't be much longer.
Yeah.
I think the way that he can serve a ball, we'll take him in there.
I like it. Give me, for my left center back, Vilas Landsberg from SMU.
I was thinking about taking him off you.
Because I think people are going to be
like him a lot too.
He's so just technical, great passer. Like I said, I think people are going to be surprised. I mean, when we were at Warford, he had a great game, and I mean, him and Jakob on that left side, like just 90 minutes of just consistent passing, good defending. I think he's going to be super successful at SMU.
I know who I want as a right forward, but it's tough because I want somebody who's probably known more for their goal scoring than they are their playmaking. Because I'm really considering Lasse Dahl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want all creators and just one, or just Donovan Phillip up there.
Yeah.
What teams do I have? I mean, Owen Zarnik at SMU.
Yeah.
Scored like one of my favorite goals of the season last year, so that's an option.
I'm having a tough time too thinking of my next couple.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to take Albert Thorson instead, just because he's had some more goal scoring,
Yeah.
and he shares like the advanced work rate. Because
So
having Casper Spenby would have been great as well. Probably maybe a little bit better defensively,
yeah.
but I don't know.
So I want a Virginia Tech midfielder, but I don't know which one. I think I'm gonna go with. Let's do Mateus Jonas. ACC
Okay.
proven, can hold it down.
I did passing stats on him, and
Yeah,
he's actually a pretty successful passer.
I like that midfield. I mean, that's a good that this would be a great game.
Yeah, I think.
I know. Okay, your last two picks. I think I know. I know. I think I know what you're gonna do for goalkeeper, especially.
Well, I do still have. Who do I need people that can keep up with Musa and Conde. Um, I should have watched more of Floki.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna do Dylan Crop. I thought
That's
he
solid.
looked. I thought he looked really good in the spring.
He was my UNC pick before I realized Nikolai transferred there, so
He's
I
got
rate that.
some grit to him, and I believe he's a Spanish speaker.
Mm-hmm. So left back for me, I want someone who's reliable and consistent. I also want someone who's smart, like in the classroom. You know what I mean? So let me get Palmer Bank as the left back. I think
All
he's
right.
he's consistent, good worker up and down, solid service. He'll give me a solid game every game.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, having a traditional, like, you never want to be too exposed on the flanks. So
Yeah.
yeah, having a strong defender in the fullback is good. Yeah, I gotta take Jonah Medner.
Yeah.
Trey sold him on me, so
I like it. Then for my last one, let's do. Let's do Blake Kelly from Notre Dame. I was between him and Donovan from BC, but
Yeah, because you didn't take
good
him from
size.
BC.
Get some love
Yeah,
for Notre Dame. Well, I would ask chat, but I don't think anyone's active, so I guess.
yeah. I mean, we're up to 480, but at least I'm
Come on,
not even
one
sure.
for Mark, two for me. We won't read out the names, even though everyone will be able to see it.
So, yeah, everyone viewing, I will dress this graphic up and put the schools in there. If it might be too much to ask to basically do a short write up on tactics, because I mean I'd probably end up going way too far in depth with it.
No,
But,
give us some tactic. Give us now that we have the players in place.
yeah.
You kind of talked about like what's your go-to combos you think?
So there's a few things, like if you see it with Newcastle under Eddie Howe, Thorson can go really wide if he wants. That would let Hot jet through one of those gaps, or Lamb can overlap Asari. The biggest thing in the attacking third for me is it's similar to what SMU do. I want, like, Thorson in here. I want three guys within basically this. If you were to draw a line up the 6-yard box, I want three bodies in there, and the run of play, I want those three forwards to be focused on the inward channels, and the outside channels are for Omeze and Remy. You can drift out there, but I want coverage within those gaps, because for three guys that can pass through those gaps, that's what I want. And obviously we saw a goal where Lamb made an overlap and found a tap in, and then all three of these guys, I feel like can just run all day and make things complicated, but also they're not just playing like kickball out there.
Yeah.
It's a good balance of possession with full-on engines. Some good deep balls from Mitch Ferguson on the break. And obviously we got the speed with Thorson and Asari. Even Donovan has some of that too, but he could be, while one of those two guys are making their open space run, he can find his spots to gravitate in, and these guys I think would be able to find them pretty easily. And then,
it's a solid team. I like it. Like, that front three is going to cause problems.
Yeah, and with Omeze's center back, some of his center back experience too. Like if we wanted to kind of like move Okunlola over,
little back three action,
just kind of like in the attacking third, kind of do one of these type movements.
Yeah,
we have the option to do so. But yeah, how about you? I know it's hard because you're not in control of the screen, but
no, yeah, I think mine's, like I said, pretty straightforward. I think the midfield three for me is the biggest thing, where now that I have Giannis in there, basically he kind of stays as a 6, but he's okay with going side to side. I think Flax and Village and Jenny, they're okay dropping in as a left back or right back. I think one movement we'll see a lot is Dos Santos coming in, Nikolai going high and wide, and Village, one of the basically 8s dropping in as a right back. And it could be the 6, the 8, right there, perfect.
Yeah,
and it's
Flax would be a great attribute because he'd just be able to bounce around.
And I think Bank is always going to stay a little back, but that is going to allow Musa to hold the touch line and just go 1v1. And I feel like, it's a ball playing team, and just it reminds me of a little PSG, of course, that you got destroyed by Chelsea in the Club World Cup. But I just want the midfield three to be free flowing, and the front three just hold their zones, but give Dos Santos the freedom to come in, Conde to come in. Musa, I would rather him just kind of chill out wide and just go 1v1 when he gets it. Yeah. But also, when in doubt, we'll play a long ball in behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when you said free to kind of mix it up in there, that's how my front threes I usually say, like, they don't have, in my opinion, those front three don't have defensive responsibilities in terms of like a particular individual mark. For me, they are responsible for the 4 defenders, and however that manifests, it's like if the ball is on the I'm trying to shuffle these as quickly as possible. Like if Asari has the ball over here and Donovan's occupying one of your center backs, I am totally cool with Albert Thorson coming through this gap and Okunlola kind of popping up over here to occupy that wing back on the other side.
Well, teams do such a bad... Yeah, we were just saying.
No, go for it.
Like, teams do, like, when Thorson or DeSantos comes in, so I've seen it so many times firsthand that left back doesn't know to follow or doesn't know to stay. And so many times when that left back follows, it opens space for the right back to go. And I feel like it's such a simple movement. So I feel like whenever the winger comes in and the right back or left back overlaps, it's such a basic concept, but teams do such a poor job communicating. And I mean, it's clockwork for a lot. Then,
Yeah, man, he already made it. It's Ibrahim Kande.
I mean, even before then, it's an easy decision. But no, I'm joking. No, but no, like I said,
I honestly think this would be a really good game. Maybe if we were millionaires, we could like sanction it.
no, I was about to say, do we email these teams and ask if we can take their players for a week or what?
You know, maybe we'll get so big one day that we'll make our own showcase.
That would be actually really fun. Like, well, we would be the coach and just like yell at them the whole time. Like, why aren't they doing what we want?
You know, maybe even start a new league.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, I think that these are great teams.
I'll post these in the morning, kind of dress up it'll be pretty much the same format, but I do want to note the schools that they come from. Yeah, and we'll open it up to a poll. Last thing before we go, I think the intention is with the USL League 2 Championship Final. A lot of great talent in that. We're both going to be watching, and then I think what the intention is I'll build kind of like a match recap video, so we can kind of recap and talk about some of the players, showcase moments of the game. Hopefully a lot of goals as a neutral. It's tough because I went to both over the summer and I love the environments and yeah, the Ballard kids are really good kids, and then obviously the Vermont kids are really good kids. So yeah, I'm torn.
Yeah, it'll be a good game. I just knew if someone scores a goal and we know who it is, the shirt's coming off. Simple as that.
And he might also join us.
Yeah. Let's shout out the Twitter because we're gonna be posting a lot of these player spotlights too, and some graphics the next couple of weeks.
If you haven't already, please follow us on Twitter. It's probably where we're going to be most active in terms of, especially during the season. We'll be blasting out match highlights for players that we find, maybe some goals, maybe some full match highlights, some statistics that are actually meaningful. Because if you follow me on actual Twitter, I've done passing percentages, graphics similar to the one that I showed for SMU with the goals breakdown. Yeah, just showcasing you guys out there and the coaches and the programs and what they're doing. Yeah, it's college soccer match day. Well, okay, never mind. On Twitter because there's a character limit. CS match day. That's where we're at. Probably gonna try to add more to the Instagram, but
mainly on Twitter, most likely.
Yeah.
And this till Sunday. Looking forward to the Sunday episode after the final. But yeah, we'll be posting all of the ACC graphics and player spotlights the next week or so. And vote for which team you like more in a day or so when we post it. But I think we covered a lot. I think it was a lot of information to digest, but I feel like when we do some of the recaps the next month or so, once the season games start, it'll be more clear how these teams line up and how they're doing.
Yeah, and I think the intention is that both of us will be attending some exhibition games, so hopefully we'll get some good coverage out of that as well. Some previews that can just kind of take over or round out more of a big picture for the teams that we're covering. I think we'll probably try to do an abbreviated version of this. I don't think we'll go 3 hours again, but we do want to cover, some of the Sun Belt, the Big Ten, the Ivy League, and just really any other teams that kind of come up. I know, yeah, SoCon, there's a couple teams. But again, part of it will be just stuff we put out on Twitter. Just because the format's a little easier than Instagram to do like the writing and video combo and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think great episode though. I think a lot of good information and final tomorrow, so exciting times.
Yeah, I got to rest up for it. And thank you again, everybody out there watching. Yeah, can't do it without you guys. So
thank you guys.
We appreciate it.
Till next time.
Till next time, Sunday. We'll announce it as soon as we know. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.